stuff, but like I don't
Okay, there you
recording in progress.
go. Yeah.
But it was pretty cool just to have the conversation recorded for my own reference and like review all the input you gave me back for all the things I asked you about.
Okay, so that was June 23rd. That was 2 months ago, and then you had the 30 customers and the job.
Yes.
Okay, so 2 months later, and then the goal was, well, it wasn't even to go full time anytime soon or anything. It was just like get through the season and then keep working, and then a full time if you could go, or in the spring full time if you could, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I literally didn't think I would be be busy enough to go full time. And
Mhm.
I just kind of figured I would ride out the winter juggling both jobs. And then as the season next year was starting up, that I would go full time and like go full blast on marketing and everything. But it kind of got to the point. So I was like working 7 days a week,
Uh-huh.
hustling, and that gets like tired after a few months. And like even though I turned off my marketing, like my Google ads, I turned off because I was kind of capped out of where I wanted to be
Mhm.
juggling both because you can only do so many mows in your off time.
Yeah.
Um, so I was like not trying to take on any more work. And then even though my marketing was turned off and I was still getting calls,
Huh.
I kind of just like realized, well, if I'm getting all this other work potentially,
Yeah.
then this is the time to go full time.
So your two brains finally went like they finally hit each other, and it makes more logical sense finally, even though it seems so far and distant. It just happens when it's ready to happen, depending on how much work you put into marketing, put yourself there. Because I know you got to read the Google reviews too.
Yeah, the reviews really go a long way. Um, I was really taking like a safe approach,
Hmm.
um, and just trying to be smart. And then like I had the looming fear of winter slowing down. I mean, even though I'm in Florida, there's still like winter still happens, growth slows down.
Yeah.
It's not as like impactful as getting a couple feet of snow, but
So,
like that was still like a worry for me that everything would slow down so much that I wouldn't be able to make enough revenue to like just pay bills.
hmm.
Um, but I got over that.
What was so like that was the game plan before you were like in position to where you had to think about it because he was like I still got my job, this would be the main focus, but now that you're just full-time solo mowing, now what's like the strategic game plan, or like how do you just view winter for what it is compared to like what you, even though it's your first like or the first full winter, what you expect is like realistic.
Yeah, so I don't super know what to expect because even though I started last winter, I had like one client for a month and then like I got up to like three or five, by the end of the year.
Mhm.
Um, so it's going to be pretty different now because even if a lot of people switch to bi-weekly or even if, every 3 weeks for a few of the months, like that's still some kind of revenue coming in. So my mentality now is just work my ass off while the phone is ringing and um, get rid of as much business debt as possible. I'd like to pay off my mowers,
Yeah.
um, and then just stack up the savings, even though like saving is losing. Say there's a cap point to where saving isn't worth it. But as far as having enough money to where I know I could pay through my expenses for the few months of winter when mowing slows down, that's what I'm trying to do right now.
Yeah. I think that okay, so even though you had those 1 to 3 customers, how far did you mow them into like the like December and January? Was it like not even once a month, or was it once a month, or was it like more or less? Is 0 or 1 for those months? I'm just curious.
So it was mostly like every 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
And like my first customer, and I appreciate her so much for it, even though it wasn't like a ton of growth, like she still,
Uh,
let had me cutting it, fairly regularly, even if it was like 3 or 4 weeks.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know what to fully expect. So I'm just trying to buffer up the funds to where I don't have to stress it either way.
Mhm.
But I'm guessing that it's probably going to be more work than I think.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's always best to prepare for the worst case scenario.
Yeah. I think that like one thing I always realized was that October and March were always my two highest grossing months every single year for the most part. Always spring, sometimes even more in October. I mean, either March or October, sometimes even more in October. But for the most part, it was always pretty similar, like 7 to 8 thousand when I was going full time with it. And I feel like based on what you have now, do you think right now it's about to be September and October, you're just going to go balls to the wall, just 100%, like beginning of the growing season, still picking up more customers, more grass growing versus the summer, and then plus all the rain you're having? Do you think that what would you expect you can make in these next 2 months just from everything you have in like your predicted growth, couple of customers here and there, just having like this is like
Hmm.
die, like I'm just gonna go for it and just see what would you expect or how do you feel
Yeah,
mentally and
it's
monetarily?
what's that?
Mentally and monetarily.
Mentally, I anticipate stressing it a little bit,
Mhm.
but I think that the mowing will keep up more than I think it will.
Yeah.
And um, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, just like
Mhm.
fall work. Because right now I haven't done mulching at all because I've been really just focusing on
Mhm.
mowing service. Um, so now that like we're getting to where things are going to slow down, I've been starting to think that I need to invest more and educate myself more
Mhm.
on just different services that I could offer through the winter, even when so if and when the mowing slows down so much that like I need to do more, that I'll have things
Yeah.
that I'm already equipped and proficient with,
Yeah.
especially with the pricing, because I mean, it's like with everything. How do you price mowing? Well, you got to go do it wrong a few times, then you figure out how to do it better. So I imagine I got to kind of just go through the same process with other services.
Yeah.
So like mulching or mulching beds,
Yeah.
I feel like is a good fall one. And then for leaf mulching,
Mhm.
I was gonna ask you how you did pricing for that, because I know you did some of that in the fall.
Yeah.
Did you just do it like the price of a mow?
Yeah. Okay, so this is what I always recommend, and I want to make it like super easy to copy because I know as long as your house is, a lot of them have trees to where like you're gonna be mulching a lot in the front and back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some houses, yeah.
Okay, but most of them do. So most of them will have a bunch of dropping leaves and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would tell. Okay, so example like in San Antonio around Thanksgiving on November 20th, give or take. That's whenever they tell me like, okay, like we're just used to stopping services after Thanksgiving's done. So like December, January, February, there should be no mowing. And then I used to just be okay with it and would just offer like a gigantic leaf cleanup at the end of the year. And it sucked, and I didn't like doing like a whole truck's bed worth of leaves in a tarp and just having to go to the dump or put it somewhere. It was just a lot of work, even if you can get paid 300 or so. So I came up with a plan. Okay, so Thanksgiving's here, the yard stopped growing. The leaves start dropping. I tell the customer, okay, it's about to be fall season. The grass is going pretty dormant, but the leaves are still falling. What I recommend and what I usually do with all my clients is I'll just continue coming on the same weekly or biweekly schedule. I'll say biweekly because that's what most of them were. I'll tell them so for the next 2 weeks until the leaves are completely fallen down. Every single 2 weeks I come and I'll either mulch up the leaves or I'd even bag it, not all the time, very rarely, but if it made it able for me to work because I'm providing a good service that they wanted back, then I would do that and charge a little bit more. But for the most part, what I wanted to do was just mulch the leaves every 2 weeks because it's easier because they're smaller and then you're just staying on top of everything. You could blow it out and versus them having leaves all throughout the winter time and then you got to go do a big, not fun leaf cleanup. You could just continue working for your little slices and you clean up the yard and the customer keeps a clean property and it's just a win-win for both people. So I would say that, and then every single one of them would always say yes. They said that's fine. There was nobody who said they wanted to do only a leak cleanup. I told them they could take a month, 2 months, just 2 visits, even if it's once a month. We'll just go depending on whenever it starts to slow down and whenever it's complete. And they were all happy with that. And I tell them whenever the leaves are fully mulched, so say December or late January, even anytime in between, you could just tell them, okay, the leaves are done. You just be honest. You just tell them like, okay, it's done. No more grass, no more leaves. Thank you for the services. And if you need anything else, then let me know. And then come spring or early February, you could just tell them like, hey, I'm ready back to mowing on my schedule, or they'll come out to reach to you. They'll reach out to you even quicker because they have weeds already growing in their yard. So that's what I would say for all of that. But that little slice of having them continue letting you come after Thanksgiving to just do the leaves, I think that's a really important one. And on the flip side, another way to think about it is, are you going hard with the fertilizer, or at least offering it to them just like the super basic fertilizer?
No, I have still done zero fertilizer.
Okay, so just this, and then we could talk
But I
more.
guess the season flip is gonna be
Yeah.
where I like start putting out that pitch.
Yeah. And then we could talk more about this one-on-one later too. But just like whenever the beginning of the fall season and the beginning of the spring season, the beginning of the growing seasons, I tell them that this week I'm going to be putting out all my fertilizer, and then you just charge the same price for the mow. So it's a $50 mow, $50 for the fertilizer, and I just include it in the price of the bag because my yards I can get like sometimes 3 yards out of one little bag of mulch. So I just charge them the same price and it's easy. And I try to line it up all in a day before it rains. Like if I know there's gonna be rain in the next couple of days or the weekend, then I'll do it and then I just apply it and that's it. And it's a great way. And like a lot of them will say yes if you just tell them it's good for the yard. Do it once a season, just recommend it. It's their option. But you're doing all the applications right now. If you tell them that, a lot of them will say yes, and then you could boost your income up in the beginning of that fall season by a lot just to help pad you into winter because versus you just being like this, you go like this, and then you go like this, and you go like this. It's like a transverse like quake while one goes up, one goes down. And that's just and it's super fun to do and it makes the yard look better, it makes it more lush, healthier. And if they're taking care of their yard properly, if they're not just throwing mulch, I mean, not just throwing fertilizer on a crappy, shitty yard. If it's a yard they actually like you maintain properly, like maybe you put more fertilizer or they don't have weeds or you just cut it a lot like more frequently, then it will make a big difference too. And especially if they have sprinklers, it's even better too.
Yeah, that's one of my yards in the beginning of the rainy season. They had the sprinklers running pretty regularly, but when it started raining, the growth was so crazy, even week to week. I was like, I like suggest they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna turn off the sprinklers.
Yeah.
So with fertilizers, so like probably most people, I have a good portion of my yards that are, not like super lush and green, kind of shitty, patchy and weedy. Would if it's like heavily weeded, would fertilizer be counterproductive?
Um, I think
Like it would feed the weeds more than anything?
ooh, I don't know if technically it feed the weeds, but I definitely don't think out of all times I've done it, it doesn't make it any better for the most part. If it's a crappy yard, like it probably, but honestly, something that I did in the beginning and then I didn't do in the middle because I got so busy with mowing and I didn't want to do it because it takes a lot of time and energy. But then I did it before I left to Costa Rica, was aerating. And I just rented the one from Home Depot. And then it was, I forgot, maybe like about $50 a day, maybe 75, I forget the time frame, but if you can line up, say if you have like 30, 40 customers right now, if you can just offer aeration to all of them for maybe, if you're, what's your average price for a mow? What do you charge?
Um, like 40 to 50.
40. I think you could charge like, and I was never an expert with it because I didn't do it a lot, but sometimes I would charge 125 to aerate their yard, and I tell them it's only recommended twice a year, but once minimum, and in the fall is the best. You could do it in the spring and the fall, but if you could do it in the beginning of the fall, it's the best. By doing it, it will decompress the yard because it's just the earth's gravity just crushing it and people walking on it. So the soil is super compacted, but by aerating it, it plugs the holes. So now there's a lot more oxygen and a lot more space for everything to just fluff up, and now stuff can grow versus it being so tight. It does that, allows the water to go into the soil better because you're pushing holes. The sunlight can also go into it better, which is good for the grass, and it allows for the roots to start growing, connecting together. So, but that machine is so brutal and you got to rent it. So it's like, I was reluctant to do it. But honestly, I did it on my backyard. It made it look the best it's looked in 3 years from just one aeration and just watering it. And if you throw fertilizer down, it goes into the holes even better too. And then the last thing too, which is super important, is do you know about ryegrass seed? Those little purple bags you see at Lowe's, Home Depot. It says like annual ryegrass seed or perennial ryegrass.
No.
Okay, I think I can share the screen. Okay, so look, so this stuff right here, the ryegrass, I'm gonna share this screen because I learned how to do that and it's cool. Desktop one. Okay, are we on it? So
Yeah.
this stuff, ryegrass seed, purple. I think that's embarrassing. I can't find it. Perennial ryegrass seed. I'm gonna go here. I think I'll find it. So it's grass seed that it only grows in the winter time because it's colder, but it's this green. It makes it's little seasonal green grasses that cover the entire yard. They grow super quick. So you could go from mowing. If it's biweekly, you can mow it biweekly. You could even grow it weekly. I mean, you can mow it weekly because of the stuff in it, how thick and how fast it grows. I guess this is it. I guess they have a new bag for it. Perennial ryegrass mix, but you throw it down and it looks like that. Let me see if I can find a picture on Google. and it just allows you to mow. And if you remove the leaves and you do this, that's just another service you could charge for. If the yard's $50 to mow it, you could just do the same thing, charge $50, even more, because it's a once per year thing, actually, just once only, because it's winter time only. So you could charge 50, 65 to throw that down. So by doing the fertilizer for a potential 50 and the ryegrass at the end for another potential 50 boost, maybe more, and you get to mow from the entire winter, because it grows the entire winter from winter December, January to February, and then come March it starts dying off and the real grass starts growing. So before you even
Mm,
think about that, I would say go to Lowe's or Home Depot, try to find just any ryegrass seed and throw it down right now. Maybe not right now because it's still kind of hot, but in the winter early, start trying to grow it so you can see what it looks like. You could throw it in your own yard all over with a spreader, because that's how you do it. And you might just be like, damn, like once you see it for yourself, like you feel a lot more comfortable charging for it and just working with it and just using it as like another pad for the winter time too.
mm. Yeah, that's I guess one of the things that I'm hesitant with the fertilizer is because just because I haven't done it and gotten the experience and seen the results, like it's kind of hard for me to make a sales pitch for like a result that I'm not super confident with.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to go
Did
immediately, but like this is what it looks like exactly. So you don't have to go immediately to selling it, but by just practicing it on your own yard, by just throwing fertilizer in your own yard, watering it, or if you got the sprinklers, turn them on, and then throwing down some seed, you could just have a little bit. If you could just stay one step ahead, then you could at least get the basic of it and just learn it from there as you start doing it. Like if you can grow a little bit of the seed at your own house, then I wouldn't even sell it till you do it at your own house. Just make sure you know that it goes through properly with the soil to make sure that you can tell what's good quality or what won't even go because there's too much debris and stuff in it.
mm, you ever done any dethatching?
No, I never did dethatching. Do you? A lot of your yards feel like they could utilize for it?
Um, Maybe some, but I kind of want to do it on my own yard.
Fair. Yeah, I think you could do that too. If I was now just knowing everything that I know and just like wanting to make the best experience possible by only having the computer, not the lawn care business at the time or for the time being, I would totally go back and rent a big ass dethatcher. Same thing because you get them right next to each other, the aerator and the dethatcher, and just try it out on my yard and just see what comes up. And if I see it makes a big difference and the yard looks better and it starts growing better, then hell yeah, I would offer that as a service. But that's just looking back, things I would have done. We have so much time to still learn, especially if we're full time. We could just play around with these toys and just figure them out. And just like we learn how to like work the mower to make the dollars, we can do the same with the tools. But it's only because we use the mower so much that we felt comfortable. So that's it's just going out there and just doing it like you said. But hell yeah, you should totally rent it, and you should even just do it just to see how it feels, so you know how to charge for it. You can see like if you see a bunch of the thatch, like that'd be cool. And it's like you just opened up a whole new avenue, and it's still lawn care vertical. It's not like you're going horizontal to like a whole different service like pressure washing or some other type of like even job like Uber Eats. Like you're still building into the lawn care business, which is what my mentor told me would be the best thing possible to build an umbrella. And then whenever you're way up here, you can start making the umbrella, whatever that part's called. But right now you're just using one channel to grow everything, and it's easier, and the best business
Mm,
is just one channel, like for one channel, one product, just done right one way, like $1 million business. So that's what he said for online business, but same principles though, I feel like. So I think
yeah, yeah, for sure.
the thatching and aeration, that's on top of, okay, so mulching up the leaves all the way until winter every week or every 2 weeks until it's done, plus ryegrass, plus fertilizer, plus aeration, plus dethatch. If you can just make that into a package, and we can do that too later, and just come up with like a whole like an offer. Like they don't all got to say yes, but if they get used to it and they like you show pictures next year before and after for people who did do it, then it would just help everything just sell for the long term so much better too. But you could offer them individually. You make a cool ass checklist. They just like tell you back on text or email what they want back, and you just schedule it as you want it. That'd just be a crazy setup.
Man, I feel like, man, if it's like 50 for the 50, 50, 50, 120, 120, like
Mhm.
we're talking if like, well, I mean, I guess if someone wanted all of it though, like that would be a huge amount of money. I just feel like
Mhm.
when you talk, I mean, it depends on the customer, depends on the yard, but
Yeah.
like I definitely think maybe like half of my customers would be like, I'm
Mhm.
not trying to spend any more on my yard. I mean, there's the people who is like, the more it grows, the more of a nuisance it is. You know,
Mhm.
the people who are just trying to spend as little as possible on their yard, but
Yeah.
different clientele for different services for sure.
Do you feel like those customers who don't want to pay any extra, like they won't even do like one fertilizer? It's just bare bottom. Like I just want mowing.
Yeah, well, I haven't done a lot of the fertilizer pitches. Um, I had one customer that when I landed, I spoke about doing like seeding and fertilizing, but she hasn't brought it up, and I haven't felt inclined to do it, so I didn't bring it up either. But just as like the big flip and going full time, and then of course for the time of year
Mhm,
is switching people to weekly.
mhm,
And part of that was me dropping the ball just because I got so in the mindset when I was landing customers through winter and spring
mhm,
that not all of them did I give a weekly and biweekly price. So it definitely helps if like that price was given up front and then go into the switch. But
mhm,
then like having the spread between them make it worthwhile for the customer.
mhm,
Um, because like, is weekly, even if I drop the price per service a lot, but if they're paying more per month,
mhm,
that's where they're like, no, I'm not trying to pay more per month. Um, so that's like actually been like the biggest thing I've been juggling the last couple of weeks since I've been full time, which well, today technically makes the third full week.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, kind of like pitching that to some people. And of course, you could tell them how good it is for the yard all day. And even, it's, easier on my equipment, easier for scheduling for me, but some of them are just like, I can't pay more. And the one lady, she's like, "Oh, I'm a retired widow on a fixed income," and she gave me like this whole like, well, I don't not to be rude, but like a sob story. Basically, she's having a rough time, and I was like, "Oh shit, I feel so terrible." Like
Mhm.
pitching to like have the mowing cost more, switching to weekly.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's fair. You have a heart, so you're like, but at the same time, like business, is business. And so, okay, so like just all that being said, the customers, like, so you said it's like 20 who like don't care. Do you have 40? So it's like even like 50-50 pretty much, or do you have more than 50 or more than 40?
Oh, what overall
Like,
clients?
yeah, because like 20 of them were like, I don't want anything else, right? They're just bare bottom. How much other or like people who would say yes actually on the
Um,
convert?
Man, I don't know, just off the top of my head. So I just broke into the 50s.
Okay,
So like let's just say half and half. Like, let's just say there's 25 that would be willing to do the extra services.
so 25. You said 25 or how much? Or
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry.
Or whatever is easier for the example.
Okay. 25 is realistic, right? Okay, we'll just go with
Yeah.
it. I'm writing down on my whiteboard, like on my, I don't know, I didn't have a journal, so I have a big ass whiteboard. Okay. Okay. Open question. Those like, do you care like either if they don't want everything? Like, I don't mind doing it because even though it's not a lot of revenue, like for some reason it's cool just to go in and knock it down and get out, and like they're kind of easy to maintain possibly. Or is it like you'd rather just have the 25 like-minded like them who just are down to pay extra? You don't need a bunch of customers. You can just keep these ones, and the yards are pretty. You still make, if not more money, the same at least from doing the yards that don't like really anything like above the bare minimum. Like, do you like having both, or would you rather just have ideally the ones that would pay for everything?
I think it's good to have a mix because if I had my full client list and they all wanted extra services,
Mhm,
I mean, depending on the services, I mean,
mhm,
the getting more equipment involved, like the aeration and stuff, like that would kind of make it difficult to do all
mhm.
those extra services, I think.
Yeah, fair. That's a good. That's exactly why I was like, there might be a benefit to just being a little diversified. You like, you don't need a bunch of 50 like magazine quality yards, even though that'd be nice. They're not even magazine. It's like still like good to maintain, but it's just a lot.
Mhm.
Okay, what about
I'm,
the? Or oh, sorry, you go first.
I was gonna say it is nice when you have now that I have like more yards that are healthier. Like
Yeah.
it definitely is nice to maintain those more, but at the end of the day, like if the shitty yards are priced right
Uh-huh.
and cherry on top, if the customer is like easy to work with and
No,
is like good people, then that's a customer I want to have. I never like the quality of the yard is never like the deciding factor alone.
you're not being yard sis.
Yeah, but I mean, because if the profit, I'm a profit margin oriented person. So if
Okay.
I'm making good money for the time, I'm happy with that.
Okay, then I think of, okay, so if you have 20 customers who aren't going to pay extra, you have 25 customers who would. So I'm not a mathematician, but I think if the 25 who did say yes, at least said yes to fertilizer, and if they could, like fertilizer is a bare minimum, they'll say yes to. I'm pretty sure they're all going to say it once you say how easy it is, how cheap it is, and how helpful it is. If they're not doing it regularly or ever, it's just nutrients for the lawn. Then you could offer that, and then top dressing is a whole different conversation for like a like if we could talk about that. You know what that is, right? Like throwing the manure on top of the yard. Like it's cool, but it's just very labor intensive. But also that's another thing you could throw down too. But just like the fertilizer, it worked a lot. It worked really well for me. So I'm sure you could do the same. So if you had 20 customers who didn't want it, 25 who would at least get fertilizer, sometimes they get aeration too. So they can go from tripling the revenue to doubling it to anywhere in between, or double to triple. If they get fertilizer, aeration, and maybe detach, all that stuff, that's a like you're almost making like 3 or 4 times the margin of it. If the half of the customers that you have, the 2025 said, yes, we want to do at least 1 to 4 upsells, you just increase your revenue by like at least over a quarter to like almost a half. Rough numbers. Like if half of them said yes to almost to just one option, if not 2 or 3, then that I'm so bad with the numbers describing it, but that makes sense, right? Like you don't need to
Yeah,
say yes. You
yeah, I'm
could.
following you.
I wonder how like, and just by doing the numbers specifically, like just simulations of what the HTS for, you get literally on paper, and that's really what matters most. See the actual, because all this it really matters how much extra you're making and how long you can expect to work into the winter with these services.
Yeah, well, because I've seen just not looking at other services, but just increasing your pricing by like a small percentage
Uh-huh.
per yard increases like your overall profit like tremendously. So like any additional
Yeah.
revenue like goes a lot further than you think when you individually, but when you break it out, like you're kind of talking, um, it is substantial.
You mean increase in the price, increase in the quote of new customers, or also existing customers once a year,
No,
like
like if you up to the price on like all of your existing customers by like $5, the impact would be like pretty profound.
yeah, would you do that? Are you planning on it?
No, not right now.
Yeah.
I think because I'm still building, I'm still feeling out where my cap is,
Uh,
at least as a sole operation, like how many customers I could take on,
yeah.
like how many mows I could do a month, and then I'm always like kind of torn between the hustle as much as possible, but then also like
Mm,
gotta have some kind of balance
I,
and
I feel
the value in having good rest so you can like perform better.
yeah.
Um, so I haven't reached my cap yet, but I'm not trying to like blow past this. I'm kind of just slowly taking on more.
Mhm.
Um, I don't even remember what the original question was.
I think just talking about
Uh,
have those customers that would pay for the extra services if they would,
versus-
and just how much percent roughly you would go from just doing like at least one like
hmm.
fertilizer to aeration for those 20.
Oh, but the price increase. Yeah, yeah, but
Oh,
I'm not planning on doing any price increases, but like once I reach that cap, that's when I'm gonna kind of audit my client list and like the people that are low. I
mhm,
mean, I may try to raise prices if it's like truly a low price.
mhm.
Um, but otherwise I'll probably just go the Zach route and, let them go and then just bring on someone new that I priced right out of the gate.
Yeah, just find a young and you can refer the yards to, and you could just leave your customers just like here. And just like I'm sorry, but here's this one too. You can still have them do it.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to just, I mean, because there's definitely probably some that I could do price increases on, but if you got landed someone off the rip and you price them pretty, like maybe even higher than it should have been,
Uh,
like, that's, I wouldn't want to blanket increase them because I'm already like
mhm. It's already
pretty
good.
high margin.
Mm,
Um, but that'll probably be something I look at
mhm,
going into next spring.
mhm.
But yeah, I don't super love uh the price increase idea. I mean, there's the value in it for sure, but I think it really just depends
Mhm.
on it how well you price them initially.
Mhm. Okay. How do you feel about winter now, knowing all these different services side or that you could grow on top of just the mowing? And what do you think about now? But of course you got to do the numbers, but just because also you could do, I never done it, so I try not to talk about it like a lot, but pressure washing and Christmas light hanging and like junk hauling, debris removal, like those are all things that you could do. But I just had enough, even from the leaves, as like crappy as it wasn't the first season. After the second season, when I was doing the mowing strategy, like mulching up the leaves every 2 weeks, I never had to do any of those other additionals, the pressure washing and stuff. I think just adding aeration and possibly dethatching, I never did it, but just the aeration was super beneficial just to the couple yards in my yard that I did it on. And plus, it would take up a lot of labor. It would make the yard, I feel like it'd make it grow longer into the winter, and maybe earlier it starts to grow and it grows lusher and
Mm,
easier to go weekly in the spring and the fall. And in the summer, it survives a little bit better. So just that aeration, just like I think it would just balloon everything else by just making the yard actually growing and being as healthy as possible.
damn.
Or it needs to be cut just from the aeration itself. The aeration is so powerful. Even if you just do aeration with nothing else, if you just decompress the ground and just poke it, like even where my chickens would be sleeping and they go and eat and they just kill the grass, it grew back immediately or after maybe like 3 weeks, 4 weeks. It was fully
Damn.
flush. It was crazy. It was like plastic surgery for the yard.
Wow, I didn't even really think about that. I mean, I guess I did with fertilizer, but yeah, aeration, even if you don't get like an amazing price, even
Uh,
if I did it for like somewhat lower, it would snowball into like better profits and other services too.
Yeah,
That's pretty,
this is the aerator that I ordered. It was only 3,600 for this compact aerator. But the thing, I had a stupid story with it. I ordered it. They said it would take a week. It ended up taking over 4 weeks. It didn't deliver. And then I was gonna go to Costa Rica now, so I was like, just give me my deposit back. I put half down, so 1,800, and I was gonna pay the other 1,800 when I got it. So I canceled it, and then the next day it shipped. But I had already canceled it earlier. But this little thing right here, it was 3,600 in my area. It's just it looks small, but it's still kind of big, and it's kind of easy to use. Like weights right here that you put to make it heavier, and then you
Mhm.
just push the thingy down, and then now it's just pushing forward. It's still like a brute monster, but it's not as bad as these ones that they're like on the one wheel, like this one type.
Ooh, a toe behind.
Yeah, ooh, yeah. This is you got the gravely though, looks the same. But I was renting it for 5,700 a day. You can just buy it for 3,600. You just have it and it's yours. And you just do a day dedicated or maybe 2 days for all your customers, 3 days, and just do it once a year. Sometimes in the spring too, because people do it then. Whenever it's the beginning of growing season, that yard will be on steroids. And it's fun. It really just changes. Like I wouldn't have any the people that make fun of my yards on my YouTube videos. I would have none of that if I was aerating. If I did aerate all of them regularly, maintaining them for the amount of spent on mowing I did with them.
Do you think a lot of the people who had, um, or I guess how much did you do with the rental? Like, did a lot of your clients bite on it, or did you kind of have it that mixed bag where some people were like, hell yeah, I want an aeration, and some of them were like, no.
I never even got to the point where I was offering it to all my customers. I was just doing it to like 2 to 3 at a time because I was just testing the waters and
Oh,
I never went like fully operational, like advertised with it. But just at the last time I ever did it, because it was years ago, I rented an aerator like 3, 4 years ago. And then I just rented one this past it was late too. I think it was April, May when I was doing the whole aerator when I bought mine. But I still did it and it still transformed my yard in the month before I left. It just made it look crazy. But the customers that I did ask, if I worded it correctly and just told them basically like if I'm gonna maintain your yard and I know like the customers of 25 that would do it for you, I would just tell them like I'm just recommending you that we do this. You basically tell them that we should do it because they trust your work because you're the professional. And just you can show them before and afters and stuff. But it's just like there is no reason that we shouldn't do this. If you're already paying 100 a month, like just this once or twice a year will literally be the biggest catalyst for making your yard look spotless and just fully green. And it's going to be healthy, which
hmm.
is better for you to mow and it looks better and it's funner. Even if it's weedy, it won't completely fix it, but it will do so much help to those weedy patchy yards. If there's enough grass to where you can see it like taking over, like it's not overpowered.
Yeah.
But just
Well, that's
overall, it just makes it look crazy.
the more grass you have, the less opportunity for weeds.
Mm-hmm. Competition, biological,
Yeah, yeah, really.
mad sciences.
Hmm.
I think how much roughly just gross are you making now, or gross and net, just from what you have, and then how much could you see yourself making if you were to offer all these services, just like rough? Does that make you
Yeah.
feel better too? Just knowing that you could do all these other things, and after the first like getting used to the tweaks of them and the kinks of them, then it would just be such like you do it like clockwork, just like mowing, and then in the springtime you still offer almost the majority of them fertilizer, aeration too. Summer there's a fertilizer. You could do winterizer, fertilizer. You could still top dress at any time. You have the leaves getting mulched up past Thanksgiving, and then also you could put mulch down, trim shrubs, all that little stuff.
Yeah. I definitely think, yeah, the leaf mulching, which I mean, and I've had people, even people, someone I picked up today on their like quote request on Google My Business, they said they would need leaf cleanups,
Mhm.
but I realized that pretty quickly when I first started that I hated
Huh.
bagging leaves. And then that's why like I went the mulching route. But I
Mhm.
mean, at that time I just had my little like residential 21-inch
Mhm.
Toro
Mhm.
that I just had the chute blocked. It wasn't even really mulching per
Mhm.
se or with the mulching blades, but yeah, bagging leaves. I decided I didn't like doing that, and I turned down work anytime it came that way. But I
Mhm.
was thinking that um, once the season comes, if I had enough time,
Mhm.
because like when I didn't want to bag leaves, that was also when I was juggling two jobs.
Mhm.
So I may be a little more open to it now if someone was like insistent on it. But I think with the leaves, and just like hustling hard now and giving myself a decent cushion. And in Florida, the winter isn't that long, so I'm probably making it worse in my head than
Yeah.
it will be. But I'm stressing about it way less now.
Yeah. What would you imagine if there was a, like, say a customer, whether it was a regular one or if it was just a yard that had a bunch of leaves, they want it blown out. If you put the like the big steel crazy looking bagger attachment for your grave leaf, do you think it would just pulverize and just you could bag a whole yard on one bag because it's just a big ass standard, or like it's just versus my X mark where it's not that strong. Like you can bag it, but it's I just like using the push mower for bagging terms at least. It still just fills up kind of fast. Do you
Mm,
would you even do that or consider that or not even still? Just based on how strong the mower is? Because I don't know.
um, Probably not because, well, it didn't come with a bagging unit,
You
so I'd
gotta
have to buy that. Which I don't know, it probably isn't that much, probably a couple hundred, I'm guessing.
tag it.
Um, but then even when you're bagging with the mower, like you still have all of the debris that you have to dump and deal with.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I think I was still, I mean, and depending which city or different cities have like bulk pickup.
Hmm.
Um, Depending on how many leaves, I mean, even if it was just bagging, if it was a couple bags worth, that
Hmm.
wouldn't be too bad, but if it's like multiple months worth, there's no way I'm gonna bag all those.
Yeah. So that one you just open to a quote and you just if you want to go take a look at it, you can throw it at it. You can throw the price at it if you want, but you already understand like if it's not exactly what I'm thinking about, then I should stay away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that, the hard way, like most people need to in the beginning. And it's fun, in the group, I see a lot of people who are, a few customers in, and they're posting, asking about quoting jobs that are like
Hmm.
way off the wall, removing stumps and much bigger projects. And I get it though, because those were alluring to me too, because it was money and when you don't have a bunch of mowing clients. But um, when I really listened to your advice and others and like kind of just ignored those and then just focus on the people of mowing, like that helped me a lot.
Hmm.
But now I'm kind of to the point where now that I have more time being full time, I have
Hmm.
more clients and I have like my recurring income, I'm a little more open to those outside projects or outside services.
Hmm. Okay. I feel
Or
like
hold
this
on one second.
like
Sorry. I was literally thinking before this call that my headset was probably not fully charged, and I was right.
oh, you got 50%.
It's all good.
Dang. I think, do you have a personal emergency fund already built up, even if it's big or small?
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, I just did one for the first time in I would say like my life. I've never even had a bank account or like a different envelope named personal emergency fund, but I just always overlooked it. I was just thinking just try to make as much money as possible. But whenever I do that, I spend a lot and I invest a lot more into like example crypto, like I shouldn't have. So by having like I just put together my first, it's like about maybe like a 5 month emergency fund. I want it to be six, but it feels
That's
so
good.
it feels so good, and I feel like I can't believe I just been like going like no framework, just make money and just try to save it. But just by having that and forgetting about it, and just even if it's just sitting there, like that security, that mental alleviation is crazy, and I can't believe I never put more importance on it before. So that's good that you have one. I'm barely getting into.
Yeah, I mean it's not multiple months
But
worth,
getting there.
but I have like, a baseline for
Yeah.
just general emergencies. But yeah, that's what I want to work towards. I think um like having 3 to 6 months is really good,
Yeah.
worth of expenses.
Yeah.
Because then once you get up to the year mark, then that's like almost excessive and like, you start losing to inflation. So having that much of
Mhm.
just savings doing nothing
Yeah.
isn't super efficient, isn't the most efficient way to use your money. Um, but yes, having that emergency fund is crucial for anyone, like business otherwise.
What do you think is the best place to put an emergency fund? Just leave it in your bank and just they're fractionally reserving it off of you, or would you open up a whole new high yield savings account just specifically to park the money, or would you even throw it in a stock or bond fund?
Um,
What do you think is the best
for
use?
the emergency fund, definitely not into any investments because A, volatility,
Uh,
stock market could crash anytime, any asset class can crash,
mhm,
and B, liquidity.
mhm.
Like you, if it's an emergency fund and you have an emergency, you want to be able to access it instantly without any fuss,
No brokerage.
like pulling it out of anything. So, um, yeah, banks kind of suck with how they use our money. Like I said, fractional baking or whatever it's called, but just making money on our money. But there are online banks, like CIT Bank is the one I use.
Yeah,
That's like um, high interest yielding savings account. And it's not crazy. It's like
it helps.
0.4%, but compared to most major banks like Chase and Bank of America that give you like 0.01% on your savings account. Um, so I think having it in an online bank with a higher interest yield is the best way to go. And then also if it's separate from your like main banking accounts, like your main checking and whatever else you got going on, then it's out of sight, out of mind. So then you're never tempted to dip into the emergency fund.
Yeah. What do you think about whenever you get a paycheck? Like different question. Say if you get a paycheck of $1,000 on a Monday, and just that's gross, um, or that's net minus your business expenses, but you're paying yourself the total amount. How would you break down the amount? Like say if it, like to pay yourself to put in the tax account to leave in the business checking or to move into a different business. Like have you thought about like hard like percents, or is it just kind of you go as you feel for right
So the percentage breakout that I've
now?
been
Like
trying to adhere to
yeah.
is 75% for spending, and that's just like all life expenses and stuff, food, groceries, rent,
Mhm,
um, 15% investing and 10% saving.
mhm,
But once I reach a point where I have like 6 months worth of savings, then
mhm.
that 10% goes into the investing, and then ideally I'd be investing 25%. I was investing pretty heavily I was following that with every check, but
Yeah.
I kind of diverted it to um, putting more directly into the business. And I got most of my startup debts, or now I have gotten all of them cleared. And the only thing now I have my mowers though.
Mhm,
And so those aren't, they're not accruing interest.
mhm,
So that's the thing paying down debt versus investing is what kind of debt. Because if it's a high interest debt like credit card, you're probably, the range of interest, I don't know, 7 to 25%.
uh,
Like you're basically getting a 25% return on your money if you just pay down your debt. So
mhm,
that's like way more of a return than you're going to get in almost any investment.
mhm,
Um, so high interest debt is priority over investing, but if you get all of that eliminated,
mhm,
then like, yeah, that 75, 15, 10 is a pretty good split.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, I was putting a lot of regular money into that, not a lot, but like every check I was putting some money into investments, but I was also, still learning and I was experimenting different kinds of crypto, different platforms, uh, other types of stocks and ETFs.
mhm,
So I haven't been pumping money into my investments as much, but I've been more so putting all of my profits just like back into the business. And once I like get um, my mower paid off,
mhm,
then basically all of my extra profit
mhm.
is going to go into investing.
Yeah. What do you think about a person, or have you thought about a personal business emergency fund? Like imagine having 6 months worth of overhead, just like mower payments, like advertising if you do, but just like gas and fuel. If you just had 6 months sitting next to your personal 6 months emergency fund, if you had both of those, would that be gangster?
Yeah, that would be super gangster.
We got
Um,
we got to start both putting a little bit into there too, because I'm gonna start building mine up. This is all just videos and lessons that I've just recently been like, thinking about and or finding them and then realizing like a personal business. Like I've never thought of a business credit card. I just ordered one for the first time, at least for make money mowing. Uh, because I like all the traveling that we've done. Like I choose the points back for the travelers, but that's what means more to me. Like you can get cash back rewards, like where it knocks down the bill of the credit card. But I rather just have the points, and you get like triple for certain categories and stuff. So I have one for my personal, like for my life, all the Costa Rica. Like we just went to Colombia. I didn't pay for. I paid $50 out of $750 just for the usage of me using
hell
it for a
yeah.
couple months. And then I was like, why do I not have one for my business card? This is from a guy on YouTube called Graham Cochran. He makes cool videos about online business, but he said business credit card, use that to pay off your debt, and now you're getting points back. You even get those like those bonuses when you join, like $1,000 if you spend X amount. And it builds. Imagine having a personal and a business credit card name to your line, or credit card lines to your name for your FICO, like that you can manage. I don't. I'm pretty sure even though it's LLC, if you separate, it still will connect you to you. I'd imagine to increase your credit or just to give you the history that you have both credit lines. So that's even better for your face card.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I definitely, when I first opened up my business account,
Mm-hmm.
like I got a business checking account, I also got a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was, it was with Chase Business Unlimited, and it was like spend $3,000 in 3 months and get $1,000 or something like that. And
Yeah.
I was like, fucking bet. I was like starting a business. I was like, I could easily spend that in 3 months.
Is that what you have to this day still, Chase? That's what I have.
Yeah, that's what I've just been banking with them for like my personal account
Yeah.
since I been in the workforce. So that's just what I went with for opening my business account as well.
Okay. Me
And
too.
I was actually able to like merge them to where I have like just one online login and I
Yeah.
can access like
The
my,
game
it's like
does that,
set.
right? You could just swipe, push, push. You could just go ding, ding, and it switches over.
Yeah, there's like my personal checking and savings, and on my business is my checking, my credit card.
And it's cool.
Um,
If you go on the computer, you see both at the same time. That's the coolest.
yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you got the credit card, and then now we're both gonna start building emergency business funds just to put on that. And then like the clarity for you to market, to do the labor, to come home and like rest and balance winter, like by having all these little things set up, it just makes everything like so much more free form and clear.
Yeah, like you, for most of my life, I didn't have any like. I opened my first savings account like a year ago, or like probably 4 to 6 months before I started the business.
Uh,
I opened up a savings account for the first time in my life at 29.
mm,
So, yeah, it's better late than never. The
yeah,
best time to start is right now.
totally. I I don't know if there's anyone in life who's ever been like, I did all my shit on time, no questions asked. Like I mean, everyone's like, I like the crypto and stuff. Like I just recently, from the last time we talked, I bought so much index funds, if not like almost everything right now, and I'm just like taking baby steps. And even though I just have a bunch of them, it's just like the opportunity cost of trying to trade it and worry about it 24/7, watching charts, like never making enough on a trade, even if you do, but usually just losing most of the time. Like if I would like when I was up at that peak, if I just would have like if I could just find the time to just like pause and just stop and then at least like cash out or put it in an index and then play with what I was feeling comfortable to play with, whole different. But at the same time, I feel like if that would have happened, if it didn't happen the way that it did, I wouldn't be in a position to where I'm just like my mind is so stimulated to get back to where I was. And I'm actually working for it and building a business that will get me there that I can rely on versus just hoping on speculative crypto, which could hit hard. But for the most
Roll
part,
the dice.
but if you could just focus that on your business, you could just start streamlining and automating it, and just you just level up with it, then you can get there if not more, and it's a long term play. But maybe having both is good. But I just have a hell of a lot more index funds right now, and it feels cool. Like it's always up no matter what for them, unless like a black swan event. But it just to always be green on something, it feels nice. It's like a nice little like reinforcement loop versus always
Yeah.
policy always being red on crypto and stuff.
Well, I mean, if you're living um just on the highs and lows day to day, and it's like a day bad day, it's just like
Mm,
such an emotional roller coaster, and it's like so draining,
mm,
like physically and mentally, to like be riding that like high intensity, high risk, high reward every day.
mm.
But I mean, I'm sure you had some fun doing it too, so
Yeah,
pros and cons of everything. But
yeah.
I definitely think as far as investing, you should have like your passive investing, kind of just like your accounts out of sight, out of mind. You
Mhm.
set up your like index funds or whatever the fuck you want, automatically put, whatever percentage, but
Mhm.
just a consistent percentage every month. And then you don't look at it, you don't check it every day. You just let that baby grow for the
Mhm.
next 20 years.
Yeah.
And then, but that doesn't have to be your only investment. Like you can still ride that crypto hype wave, but you just don't do it with all of your investing money.
That's all that I did with my life savings was all of it. It just made so much. I was like, there's no, I was like, why would I not go all in? Duh. I was like, it was the craziest, fastest experience ever going in April when everything was like quadruple, triple, double. And then to go down from there and just, it's crazy, but I'm still happy because everyone has a specific route for some specific reason.
Yeah, that's, some lessons are more expensive than others.
Wouldn't that be nice to just come up 100K almost in like 4 months? Like, why not? But no, let's go like double.
That's
Let, let's
yeah. I
let's
mean, and when
gamble.
it's winning, money, you're like, well, yeah, well, it doesn't make sense to not keep going for more.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's funny. It's a wild journey, but that's why we just make money up here because we're entrepreneurs and we're slowly.
Yeah, that's and like the financial education, um, particularly minority mindset YouTube channel that I've learned a fuck ton from.
Yeah.
But his big thing, or like the company's big thing, is learning how to manage your money. And then once you have like systems in place on how to manage your money,
Mhm.
then you worry about making more. Because
Mhm.
if you don't learn to manage your money beforehand,
Mhm.
well, because like you were hustling all those years mowing, and then the money went to who knows where. So like even though you were making more, like you were just spending more. Or
Mhm.
not solo you out. Like I did the same thing as I was climbing the corporate ladder in my job that I was with for like 10 years.
Yeah.
That there's like one year when I first transferred to Florida, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. So I was making crazy overtime. And then at the end of the year, I made so much more than I ever made any previous year, like
Mhm.
15 to 20K more. And
Yeah.
at the end of it, I was like, where the fuck is that 15K? Like, like
Yeah.
I mean, I see on my W-2 that I made that money, but I don't know where it is.
You gotta do you track every penny now, some form or some way, or not every penny, at least every dollar,
Like all of my spending.
like on a daily basis, like everything, whether it's like gas, food, like a dollar for a taco, just like for the most part. So at least, I mean, maybe not every to the dollar, but if at the each end of each month you could go back and just look at like your different categories and what you spent in some way or not even. Because I that's another thing I just barely started doing, at least while I've been here in Costa Rica, is every
Mm.
dollar, every day. I have a crazy Excel spreadsheet. I'll show it to you not on here because it's funny looking, but just like my incomes, my expenses, the categories, like the categories I had to pick, and then my net incomes minus my taxes versus so my total over under for the month for how much I made versus how much I spent. Like the first 3 months in Costa Rica on the online, I was red, red, red. I didn't realize it, so I did all the numbers and looked back. Millions of transactions on my credit card, just $2 to $50, is all over chips like sodas and stuff, just stupid stuff. So I did all that numbers and I saw like red, red, red. So now it's having me move and strategize and put money in index funds versus trying to spend every like waking moment trying to spin it and trade it when I could just put that away, forget about it passively, and actually do the work that got me the point. Like when I first bought my Bitcoin, my mentor told me I knew but for like me trading and stuff, and I was like, nah, just let me do it. And then he was like, but exactly what happened was what he said. I was gonna lose it, and a lot of these things will pump up one time, they're done, but you hold on to them, especially if you're my main person. I put all my money into it, but he was like, you bought the Bitcoin with mowing money and like with your online business. You didn't buy it through trading. So use the investments as the way to preserve your wealth. But for right now, you're better at growing it by just doing the work you've been doing to get there in the first place. And then eventually it'll get to the point where it would make more sense to manage your investments. Say example, if you get like 10% on $1 million, so that'd be $40,000. Oh wait, no. How much is that? 40% of a million? I mean 4%
Wait
of a
for it.
million.
Oh,
Yeah, that's $4,000
40.
a year, right? No, damn it, what's the math? I can't do the math right now. If you make $1 million a year and you put it in an index fund that gives you 10% a year, how much is that? Or
400,000.
400,000? No, so 4,000 a month, right? A million divided by Man, the
We
math.
mow, we mow, we don't do math.
Oh my God. Okay, but okay, so the example was until your rate of return, like your 10% of however much your capital is, until that surpasses your lawn care or your business income, when it the second it surpasses it, say if you make 40,000 a year mowing, but 10% of what the capital you put in the math we can't figure out, if that's 42,000, then now your time is better spent trying to actively manage it, and maybe you can put
Mm,
up different indexes, or you could try even like you have the leverage on like individual stocks because you're playing with so much less of your money to where if you just made little pips you'd still be good. But I don't even know if that's how you do it. But basically, until the 10% is greater than your income, then you can worry about your investment portfolio as your main. But until then, you should just focus on your business until that number gets flipped.
yeah, because I
Like,
mean, if you think about all the hours you spent
mhm,
um, trading crypto, and
mhm,
then if you take that hour by times your average hourly rate with mowing,
yeah,
it's like, okay, you made $100 at the end of the week on trades, but you could have made, $1,500 mowing with that time.
yeah, and your mind would have been a lot more still, and you have to have like a long term play that's getting worked on versus just maybe you get better at analysis and trading. But at the same time, I feel like it's always a zero, like a zero sum game. Like either you make money or you don't. There's no in between. Like there's no good. There's nothing behind it sustainable. There's nothing that you're building on your own name. Like if,
Mm, so-
if you have the papers, you could sell. You could sell the customers. You could sell the equipment. You could take it anywhere. Like it's just like they're both cool, but it's just like you get so engulfed in it. It's like a giant distraction if you're not careful of it and you don't realize it because you're looking at it like this is a money making like investment opportunity business type thingy. When it could be, but like you said, you got to have your different like your passive, your active. You got to have your tax money set aside. You got to have all these things that you don't know in the beginning, but then you figure it out and you're like, oh, okay. It just makes more sense now, and it's easier. Like you know exactly like every point of where you're at from like how much you owe, how much you have, what your goal is, how you plan on making the money, and it only just comes with time.
yep, just like with everything, you have to measure it
Mhm.
in order to optimize it, or man, I'm kind of butchering their quote. But yeah, once you break down the numbers and you actually like see the numbers and where everything is going, then you could realize where you're hemorrhaging money and where maybe you could be making more or spending less.
Numbers,
Um,
numbers are
yeah,
numbers are fun.
I mean, they are to me now.
I don't. Okay, so now going into the winter, what's the game plan? Or
Oh
is
boy.
the winter even an immediate thought, or is it like still summer transitioning going into fall, or like what is the Florida like transition like at least like the next?
So yeah, I mean, it's rainy season is still through September, so I don't think mowing's gonna slow down until like mid to late October.
Yeah.
Um, and then at that point, having a few months being full-time,
Uh,
I feel like I'll have a decent cushion, but yeah, definitely gonna push the fertilizer in the season flip. Gonna probably aeration sounds like a good way to go.
mm,
Um, and then just getting better equipped for leaf mulching. Or I like instead of doing like the big cleanups, like you were saying, having it be just with the same regular schedule.
mm,
Like if I could get most of my clientele to do that, that's gonna be huge in itself.
That works so great for me, and I know I can do the same for you. I'll give you the text message and everything, and we'll just lay it out, and then it will just sell itself.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Okay, how does it just feel to be on your own now for 3 weeks? All physical.
Ah, it's it's awesome.
Mm,
Um, I mean, it's a lot of work, but I mean, I was never having a lot of work was never a problem for me. I mean, obviously, it's still a lot of work when I was juggling two jobs,
mm,
but it's so much easier to put in the hours when it's like I'm working for myself, I'm building my business,
mm.
you know,
The stress is
building relationships with my customers.
yeah,
Um, so even though it's still a lot, and then it's I'm always thinking about it, even days where I'm like, okay, I'm not mowing, it's like, all right, but I'm like on the computer tweaking marketing, or you know logging my mowing times and planning out the routes for the next day. um
yeah. One of
there's
one of
there's always something to do. Like I used to say that to the people I managed,
mm,
like that would always be standing around dicking off. It's like there's always something to do, and that's very true
yeah,
within my business.
yeah. Exactly. You're one of us now. You're becoming it. Like it's not just like mowing is like the byproduct. It's like you're a marketing coding agency that just happens to do mowing services to give you the money, but a lot of the work, the mowing is like the fun, like the easy part. Like, I mean, it's still labor, but it's like mentally, it becomes the only easy fun thing that you can enjoy because being on the computer, all the hustling, all the moving around, coding, retrieving payment, like sending out big like quotes and stuff, all that. It's cool, but mowing is like the part you start to appreciate the most whenever you just have a nice customer and the money is right, and then you know like there's nothing to worry about because you're caught up with everything.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having like a full customer list and then writing that for a little bit. But I don't know. Then again, all of my plans from like the get-go, everything has accelerated. Like all the timelines have like jumped up so much
Yeah.
that like who knows where I'm gonna even be at like come next spring.
Mm.
Um
I think by October you'll be unrecognizable. You'll have like you have like a bigger beard and just like twice the customer.
yeah, I mean, because I'm kind of getting close to where, you know, I don't want to take on more customers or not take on, but I have as much as I can comfortably maintain and then
But
still having like days for time cushions, rain delays, because I definitely don't want to, you know, one part of me is like 5 days, you know, fill up 10 plus mows, five
uh,
or 6 days a week. Like I could totally do that. But then I know
time.
as soon as like a rain delay happens and it sets it back one day, you know, that day goes into the next day and they were both super full days.
Mm.
Like that's just going to be so chaotic to try to catch up and then also so stressful. So I'm trying not to overbook myself,
Do
but
you,
yet still
uh,
maximize like my revenue.
okay, two things. Are you comfortable with the churn? Like if you're getting that many callers and you're capped out pretty much like you're still gonna quote your heart out and try to get like the best price, like the best margin possible for the only the pickiest yards that you find like that are perfect to you. And like still giving a quote, like letting it float. They say yes, then you let go of the bottom, like the least favorite or the least lowest margin. Are you comfortable with that whole thing? It's just like that's squared away, or is that something that you need to put more like or like focus our attention on because that's super critical too. That's like one of the most critical.
Yeah, I mean, I did it a little bit just because before I went full time, I was at a cap.
Yeah.
So that I was like the quotes I was giving out at that time were just I was just giving higher numbers and then I let go of some of the yards I didn't like to do or that were like a little bit further out. Um, you know, like I had one customer I agreed to bag early on and I hated it every time. Felt so good to let go of that customer. It was also like poorly priced.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't
If
I don't
but
know.
you know how to handle it. Like if it starts happening, like you understand, like it's like okay, I should be doing this, so you'll do it. It's nothing like it just hasn't maybe happened yet because you're not getting that many callers. But when it starts happening, you're like, okay, I got it. Like this is easy. I'm just gonna turn on as best I can.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, and I mean, I could definitely still take on some people. You know, I went and did like 4 estimates today,
Yeah.
landed 2 of them.
Mhm.
So I'm still taking them on, and I'm still playing with pricing.
Yeah.
So I'm not like super critical. I'm just trying to, um, you know, meet my minimums
Yeah.
with with pricing, or even, you know, with the weekly, bi-weekly has been weird too.
Mhm.
Um, but I definitely I'm not like giving out crazy quotes yet because I still want to take on more customers, but
Yeah.
I'm getting close to that point. I feel like 60, um, that's what I had in my head a few months ago of because I was like capped out, doing it part-time at 30. So I feel like full-time I could easily have 60,
Yeah.
even if like a handful of those are weeklies.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm not at that point yet to see how that feels,
Mhm.
but I'm definitely a little bit wary of just not overbooking myself and like leaving myself time cushions for rain delays, especially while it's rainy season, as I've been dealing with that a lot.
Yeah. I think bare minimum. I think I don't think you should schedule for 6 full days. I think 5 is the max. You could do 5 long days, but I think you need at least two, especially if it's rainy hurricane season. Maybe in the fall when it stops, you could do more. But I think for the sake of your own going crazy, I think 5 is like the most. And at 5, that's when the churn becomes your only option. So that becomes like the main focus. But until then, you still have a little bit of space you can lock up for more customers. You said,
Yeah, that what I have now is like my Saturday, Sundays, I transitioned, which that was stressful too, like changing everybody's mowing day, especially people I've had for months. Like
Yeah,
I didn't really have problems, but like
you're like
uh
really
just a
solid.
lot of communication and getting people used to it. And then the people that were weekly, if I was gonna move them 2 days, I only did one day this week and then one day the following week,
Mhm.
so that it wasn't like I come back in 3 days. But after I did that, things got a lot easier. And then so now my goal is have like big full days, Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday. So that way I have Wednesday to cushion my Monday, Tuesday if I get pushed back. And then I have Saturday, Sunday for the Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
But also, I mean, if I'm getting callers on Wednesday and I don't have like regular mows,
yeah,
that's when I'm going to scoop people. And then Saturday too, if especially now I've been getting a lot of overgrown yard calls.
yeah,
I mean, it's peaked. One, because of the season, everything's growing so much faster, and two, one thing that's been happening um, because of the market is a lot of businesses are going under because they can't find labor or they can't afford labor. Um, because it's the great resignation, everybody's quitting their job. Cost of living is going up, so people are expecting more pay, and then most businesses so it's kind of sad, but also kind of beneficial. Like all those businesses that would just be like, oh, I'll mow it, I'll do the $25 mow,
mhm,
and then they would just do volume for the low price. But you need employees for that because
mhm,
as a solo operator, you can't work with those margins
mhm,
because you can't do enough yards in the day to make up for it. But those companies can't afford to keep their workers, so then they're losing their customers, and so that now those people are calling me like, oh, my guy went out of business, or my guy got hurt, or my guy got sick.
mhm,
But that's been like a lot of the calls lately.
mhm,
And then if it's on a day where like I, my Wednesday, Saturday, or Sunday, the days I don't have regular mow scheduled,
mhm.
that's when I could get a call, jump on it right away, and like that's uh, been really helpful in landing customers, not just for the cleanup, but like keeping them recurring going forward.
That actually
Is
from the beginning, just while you still got the energy and time to do it, was just like I did that so much in the beginning. I didn't want to, but I was like, this is like survival. This is life or death. I got to do it. And a lot of me myself, sometimes I don't even go unless I can get it the same day, whatever it is, like an oil change example, like going and buying a certain like thing from the store if one store is closed. I would always go and I want it that same day. So if you can just do that just for the beginning, just to get the ball rolling, it's so worth it. And then you never have to act like that when you're fully capped out ever again. They're working on your time, and you tell them when you can be there, whether it's next week or this weekend.
Yeah, and what I was playing with this past week, so on my Wednesday, I had other stuff going on, so I didn't want to take any color. Like on Tuesday, I was rained out Monday, so I had Monday and Tuesday to do on Tuesday.
Mhm,
But like I turned off my Google Ads because I wasn't gonna be able to take calls because I was doing 2 days worth of mows,
mhm,
and then I wasn't gonna be in the next day. So now I'm like, to save money, I'm trying to like filter my caller funnel
mhm.
to days where I'm gonna be able to like get out there same day, give them a price and probably mow it.
Yeah,
Because even the first two I had today were overgrown yards. They called me on Wednesday,
yeah,
and I was like, well, the soonest I could come out is Saturday.
yeah.
And then I got there and their yard was mowed,
Uh,
and they're like, oh yeah, a guy came same day and mowed it. It's like, all right, fair enough. Like, because I'm that guy that shows up right away and gets the customer. So I was like, oh, fair enough. I'm waiting 3 days, especially if the customer is like ready to get it done now. And then even just in general, we live in a like immediate gratification society.
yeah,
Anything you want, you can order it on Amazon. It'll probably be on your door tomorrow. So like having someone wait a few days to get an overgrown yard taken care of if they've already been bothered with it
yeah,
is very unlikely. So I'm trying to like funnel to where most of the time I'm getting callers, as much as I can control it because if someone sees my truck driving by and they call me, it's whatever. But
mhm,
um, I've been toying with just like pausing and restarting my Google Ads campaign to when I'm going to be able to like more immediately jump on it.
yeah. That's fine. Does it feel like is it okay to do that, or does that feel like it's a lot of technical like? effort, or is it like, nah, it's okay, it's worth trying out, or is it like, oh, I wish I didn't have to do it, but I'm doing it?
I mean, I would like pros and cons. I mean, because it's not like every single person is going to be that. If I don't have it right now, I'm going to call six other people and whoever hears first.
Mhm.
Because that's not always been my experience. And some people, if they do wait a few days,
Yeah,
like they find it worthwhile. And then I don't know if it's just like they don't want to collect a bunch of estimates or they just like saw my reviews and then they were like, no, I don't want just any lawn company. I want specifically someone who, has like a good track record.
yeah.
Um, I don't know, but it's
What
just
about if you tell
been
the,
helpful.
oh, sorry, you go.
It's just helpful for like my balancing and stress level. Cause if I'm doing like 10 to 12 mows in the day and my phone and I got like voicemails stacking up,
Yeah.
that's not a fun time for me.
I think, okay, what if you, what I would tell my customers is, I could usually not do it the same day just because I would be in one area for 10 yards pretty much, like one side of town at least. So I wouldn't really get a lot of people that I could do the next day, but I mean the same day, but a lot of the time I could tell them I could be there tomorrow, like tomorrow morning we can lock it in, like maybe 2 days at the most, but one day if I could just like first telling them like I'll let you know when I'm available, or like into the weekend. I think you can usually sometimes, if possible, or if you could just tell them at least the next day. Like if they can hold out for one day, they could just forget about it and like, all right, a fresh day, I'm gonna have my yard mowed. I think that could get a lot of them to stick more so than just telling them like I'm full or I'll let you know. If only if they're in like even like remotely close of an area, or just depending on how hard you're willing to work and sacrifice the drive just to land the customer. And then you can fix their spot later on. But just to land them, like just jumping on it like white on rice.
Yeah, and um that's been another thing. Like even when I'm landing these more customers is like getting them plugged into the day I want.
Yeah.
Cause like I have, you know, two, four, out of my like eight or just doing like the two alternating weeks.
Mhm.
So like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 weeks. Some of them are, I've got 4, 5, and 6, but then some of them I got 9, 11, and 12. So
Mhm.
it's been interesting to just the timing of when I pick up the customer. I mean, and it also depends if they have like an overgrown yard they need taken care of now. I mean, I can just do that and then plug them.
Mhm.
But that's just been like another interesting part of filling out the schedule. But I haven't been stressing so much like location, like different parts of town,
Mhm.
because I feel like that's just going to be impossible to optimize as I go. So I've been just trying to fill up days, even
Mhm.
though it's not super efficient, because like I'm going to this part of town to this part of town on two this same areas, but on different days. But I
Yeah.
mean, I'm keeping it all within, like
Yeah.
I don't drive more than 20 minutes
Yeah.
to any one customer. But I figured just as I'm bringing in so many customers, it's like too hard to get like super optimal. Because even then, like my full days now, I would have to move them out of to put someone else in. So I'm just like filling up the days as best I can. And then I figured when next season starts up, that's when I could like look at everything and like hone in like areas of town.
Yeah. I agree. I think that I think as long as you're aware of it like that, that's really all that you can do. You can't have the cake and eat it too. You can't have all the customers and exactly the days that you want them. Like in the beginning, I mean, but the more time goes on, the more customers you fill up and you start getting closer to your peak, then you have the more leverage and the wiggle room, and then it slowly flips, basically just like the market cap flips to where now you can do it, and it's okay because you've been doing them, you build up the rapport, they're happy with you, you're just shifting it a day at a time. Even it doesn't have to be like a Monday to a Thursday. You could just like you could slowly inchworm it over, and then eventually it will get fixed, and it only becomes you have all the leverage because you have a bunch more saved up, you have a lot more customers, and you can just tell like you can tell them and you can control it. But right now you're trying to serve them first to land them and make them happy by putting in that groundwork, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, I agree. It's a lot of work right now, but it won't have to be just like marketing. When you got the
Yeah.
100 Google reviews, like you will have not even lift a finger and you'll get the most calls ever. Like the proportion of like the 80-20 rule, that 80% of the results come from 20% of the work, it starts happening like crazy.
Yeah. It's and it's been fun. Like it's been a lot of work and it's challenging, but I mean, I've really been enjoying the process.
Yeah,
And
all that matters. If you can
I
enjoy
mean,
it, then you'll last long, and that's all it is to it. It's just time in the game for anything.
yeah, and again, seeing people posting in the group, and everybody really demoralized early on. And like, it's just so hard getting that first 5, 10.
Yeah,
But things really snowball, and it's just like investing. I mean, I'm pretty sure we did talk about this in our last talk, but it's like, it's a lot of upfront work. You don't see results immediately, but
yeah,
like, just still, the more you steadily pump sweat equity into your business,
yeah,
it will pay off down
yeah.
the road.
Because
Takes
you're putting all these skill sets together. Like you're just becoming like a level 99 in first marketing, and then like finding and getting the best equipment, and then pricing, and then you're quoting, and then you're scheduling, and then just like everything, you just start stacking up all these level 99 skills, and you just become an animal, and everything just works faster, easier. You make more money, and it never ends. I agree. No matter what you do, any other business, online business, in-person business, it's still gonna require that sweat equity to just figure out everything to like be the newbie and you like to spend the most money because you're not knowing what you're doing, but then you just become the vet at it. And it feels good to be the vet. And you can't, it's like you can't buy a head of hair, you can't buy time in the game.
yeah.
And then one more thing too, because this is something I'm becoming more aware of. Like there's two ways to make money, right? You could make more money or you could spend less. And if that way, if you're making the same amount but you're spending less, your monthly income's going up. Do you put like, have you thought on that? Or do you like that goes
If
back to budgeting? Like you can make more money two ways. You could either just make more money flat by working more hours, or you could spend less so that way your monthly like over under your plus minus is higher, even though you're working the same amount of hours because you're spending less, like you're budgeting more or you're cutting stuff out. Do you ever think heavily about stuff like that? Or do you feel like
yes,
that's so important?
absolutely.
Like the wealthy people, it's not how much you make, it's how much they can live as little as they can live off of comfortably with systems like no spending days, like certain days they don't spend money. They just maximize all their little like and automate like purchasing and like the groceries. They eat the same thing every day, just rotate like individual meals, like ingredients, like chicken for beef, vegetable for vegetable, and then
Mhm.
you just have everything down, you're automated, and then you don't have to work as much. You could, or you could work more and spend less, and then your wealth, your basket for your investment grow, your cash reserves grow, everything goes because you're just consciously spending less on top of just worrying about flat bottom income, which is still
Yeah,
important, but there's so much, there's an equal side that the iceberg underneath that we don't think about, or I didn't think about for a long time.
yeah. Reducing spending is the easiest way to increase your income.
Yeah,
Um,
it
but
requires,
like, you're gonna make money. Yeah, we trade our time for money, but ultimately we all only have the same 24 hours in a day, minus 6 to 8 for sleep, whatever, per person. But we all have the same amount of time, and you can only trade so much of that for work.
mhm,
You can't do 24 hours, 7 days a week,
mhm.
but just by spending less, you already are making more. That sounded dumb. There's probably a more elegant way to put it, but yeah, reducing your expenses is like critical.
Yeah. So you're aware of that too. So you got all these little background things for the most part. Like if we're only going to improve on it, but at least we're both thinking about it now, which is all that matters.
Yeah, I really like the last few months. I've really buckled down, and I've like, in general, if I don't need to spend money on it, I really try not to.
Yeah.
With my grocery shopping, I buy less auxiliary snack foods and stuff, and I try to keep it just a set list, stick to it. Um, and generally, if I try not to buy anything that's a liability, and like only putting my money into assets like either investment or my business. I don't
Yeah.
want to spend money on fucking anything else.
Yeah.
And it's hard, um, just with like friends and family,
Yeah.
because people going out to the movies, like if the family's like, oh yeah, hey, we want to go see this in the theater, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, fuck, that's a lot of money. And
True.
then, like, they're buying popcorn and candy. I'm like, you guys are spending so much money. Like, what are you doing? Like, this is,
They're happy. They're
uh, yeah, but that's just because they don't realize
being happy.
the programming is working well on them. They haven't woken up to the matrix of being a
Uh,
consumer.
but they mean well and they love you.
Yeah, but it's just like, I've become a black sheep among friends and family just because my perspective shift. So it's for
So much.
anyone who's trying to do better. who is trying to waste less money and save more, like you look like a crazy person to the average Joe.
Makes sense. You can't have you can't not look crazy and then just become wealthy as hell. You gotta sacrifice for it. That'd be nice if you could just everything worked out perfectly, but they're not gonna understand you, but they don't have to. As long as they have no ill will, then it's okay. Then what can you expect?
That's
Hold on, I'm gonna get a coconut real quick. I'm gonna drink something.
word.
Yeah. Look, this is what I do. I have a chopstick and then the coconut, and then I use this versus a knife.
Coconut life.
Yeah.
Nice. But along that subject matter, I think about when you were telling me about Casey Neistat or Neistat. I don't remember how to say his last name. The
Yeah.
YouTuber
Yeah.
Casey, when he was like just on the sprint hustling, and then like someone would ask him to go out for a beer, and he'd be like, "What? Are you crazy? Like, how dare you?"
Mm,
Like, I've kind of like been that person, not so extreme,
yeah.
but like,
You're like more savage than the average person. And so it's okay. We gotta have the bad guy to point at and be like, that's the bad guy, like Scarface.
yeah.
It's okay.
But
Like it's only because it's new, they'll get used to it and then you just become bad. It's always like the spark of it. It's just like disruption, right? For their like that
yeah,
people don't like change.
yeah, and then what, you're just you're going down a different path than everybody else. So, and then people fear what they don't understand. And then it's like we can like hustle and put our nose to the grindstone and like sacrifice, going out drinking and spend $100 at the bar because we would rather put $100 towards a more payment. But
Yeah.
like most people are like, what? No, like, let's just swipe the credit card. It's fine.
To do what most have never had, you gotta do things you've never done.
Mm, yes.
Stupid cheesy. I think nah, I agree. I think that I don't think it happened as bad as me with my parents. I think I just had to allocate money like in the budget to buying them food because like as much as I don't like spending money on myself, like if I could buy them a dinner, then I know that they did it for me like my whole life. So like I'm happy to do that. And I just realized like I got a budget like a certain amount, like 100 or 200 a month to just buy them food. And like I'll rather cut expenses on my own, eat peanut butter sandwiches for lunch myself sometimes. And that's okay.
Oh,
But I think by budgeting money and just like popcorn, you have a popcorn budget. Or if you're like, hell no, I don't want popcorn. I'll bring my own candy.
yeah. Fuck. I got pockets. They don't pat you
Yep.
down.
You ever put icy in a plastic water bottle and snuck it in?
No.
That doesn't have so much. Is that
Damn, next level.
that's that's hoodlum stuff? I don't recommend.
No, I've definitely, I mean, especially when in my younger days, like me and a group of friends, it'd be a ridiculous amount of like snacks and drinks. I mean, and then, I mean, I'm originally from Illinois, so you're like always wearing a jacket or a sweater or something, so it's way
Hoodie.
easier to smuggle things.
Damn. You're from Chi-town,
Yes,
Chirac.
Chirac. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but most of my later teens and adult life, I was in the suburbs,
Do you like
which there's like huge suburbs in every direction of Chicago.
do you like Florida?
Yeah, Florida's cool. Um,
Good for business.
yeah, for sure. But it is just like one giant beach, like
Hmm.
all the yard, like maybe there's topsoil, but like everything's sand.
What's it like having sandy yard?
It sucks.
Uh,
I
that's just
mean, yeah, if the yard, that's why if they're patchy and weedy, and when I'm like blowing up the debris, there's also going to be a lot of like sand and little granules of dirt and stuff.
hmm.
So it gets it gets messy. That's one of the biggest reasons I love the long sleeve, aside from like the sun exposure. If
Yeah,
I'm wearing short sleeves and I'm mowing and I get all sweaty and then I'm blowing debris, it all just like coats my arms.
yeah. I'm looking at how often should I aerate the lawn? Have you looked at sandy soil aerations ever?
Oh, no.
Sandy and granular soil isn't sticky and doesn't retain water as easily as clay soil does. This type of soil won't compact easily, so you can aerate it once a year or in alternating years. You still have to aerate it because eventually the pressure and gravity causes compaction in sandy soil as well. Yeah, so you just send them this picture, like this is 120, then we're gonna do it in your. Like, I guess it says awesome. You just gotta do it once a year. That's even better. I mean, you could work twice as much, but just focusing on aerating once a year, you can just rinse it and be done, or you could buy it next year. But at least now you have like a framework, so that's just like paste with the fertilizer once.
Yeah, I mean, even once a year, extra income is extra income, and that's like an easier sell anyway. Um, just like the fertilizer, someone probably doesn't want to, most people probably don't want to do a fertilizer all 4 seasons, but you could probably get them for two, if not at least one.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
What else? What else are you thinking about?
so do you, one of the things that's been really frustrating is like, even when I do have like a nice healthy yard,
Yeah.
and so like the grass is taller, like and tall edging, it is just like such a hassle to blow the debris back in the yard. 'Cause
Ah.
it'll either like go into the edging and I blow that out, but I can't like blow it up and over the grass into the yard.
What
But I
blower?
don't,
Blower are you rocking?
huh?
What blower are you rocking?
The, is it BR 600?
You got the biggest one, and it's still like it needs more power. The grass is too tall.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's a powerful blower, but it's just the grass is too tall.
Do you? Is there a ton of clippings like with like focusing more on like are you discharging or is it all mulching?
Yeah, so with the Gravely, I side discharge, but and then that's been like a real pain in the butt too, especially the yards that like get really tall. The people that I haven't gotten to weekly, or that
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily need it weekly, but it kind of grows a lot doing it bi-weekly.
Yeah.
I have a lot of debris, so like some yards, I'll mow it with my Gravely, the 36 stander, but then I'll like go behind some passes with um my Toro Turfmaster, the 30-inch,
Yeah.
just to like mulch up some of the debris.
How come you don't mulch with the gravely? Why do you got to use the different mower?
Because I don't have a shoot blocker.
Oh, really? You don't have?
Or
Oh, you got to get a shoe blocker then. That's
I know that's before this call. I was looking up
huh.
pricing. I want to get like just a whole mulch kit for the
Okay.
Gravely because I was even watching some videos and it's like just getting the mulching blades or just blocking the chute. Like it's gonna it's gonna help, but it's not gonna optimize like your mulching capability.
Okay.
And then especially like going into the fall and even before like I'm selling leaf mulching, like I'm just gonna have more leaves on the yards. So I definitely want to be able to chop those up.
Oh yeah. I think if you don't have mulching blades or gator blades on the mower, I don't know if they make gator blades for that one, but for the X-Mark they do. It makes a huge difference versus just a flat blade. Those things look like alligator teeth. They suck up.
Yeah.
They suck up more and they shred more.
Yeah. So I definitely need to, I mean, it would benefit me now even, but especially going into fall, I'm gonna get that upgrade, get a
Yeah.
mulch kit on that bad boy.
Like go for that. Get
I've
the
been
get
I've
the
been meaning to do it for a while, but well, I'm a little bit better off financially now in the business.
yeah
Uh, it's helped that I've been full time
yeah. That's
cranking out work.
yeah. Go. I think do that and get the damn shoot blocker, and then like even though it's not like the biggest like difference, just like over spread over 50 customers, like big margin of like ease and time saving and like just sustainability.
Yeah, because I have 1 yard. It's like in my neighborhood, so it's really close. And but the grass is like really tall, and it's like the main one that I have this issue with the blowing of debris. But it's such a small yard, and it's like, man, even after I like wrestle with the debris, getting it blown off,
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, for how long the yard took me, it's still great profit margin for the price, but for like the amount of frustration, I'm
yeah.
like, man, this yard, I like almost have a mind to drop it just because it's frustrating to deal with.
Uh,
So that's, I definitely feel like even if I have a good price for a small yard, the like super small yards are like more annoying than anything else.
Okay. So at least you know exactly what you want, like your target. So you just it will take time to build them up, but you'll get there now that you know what you want. Like the small isn't always the best for every operation.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, uh, when so like in spring,
Yeah.
did you have like a cap? Like how did you cap off how much work to do versus having sufficient rest? Like, did you have a system, or is it just like when your body was like, "Yo, you're pushing it too hard," you'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna stop taking on more."
Hmm. For me, it was always just like the number of 50 to 60. I've never once like ever had a month or two where I was maintaining 65 or more people. I think even 60 is a lot. I think 50 is my good number. 55 if I want to work a little bit harder, like just depending on the yards that I do have, like how many big ones. But towards the end, like 50 to 55 is the best number. And I don't know. Of course like working 6 days a week isn't sustainable, and there would be times I would do it, but I just think a lot more nowadays about it. If I'm not going to do it long term, then I don't want to be doing it now because working not towards the long term like balance of it is not getting me any closer to like the future.
Mm,
So if it's not what I'm going to be doing for a long time, I don't want to be doing it now. So I always figured like 3 to 4 days was actually just all that I needed like towards the end, and then it was 1 to 2 before I left. But 3 to 4 like full time was just like some fat solid stacked work days, allowing for cushions of rain or delays, or like if I just need other things to do in the day. And 3 to 4 was straight, and I've done 5 to 6. 5 is doable. I don't think 6 is ever a good idea. And then just from there in that little spread of
yeah, I think just for like the potential of delays, 6 days like puts you in a bad spot.
yeah, that's not you can't go. I mean, if it's just mowing and stuff, like you can go for it. But I mean, like if I think that's one of the things where if it comes to you, then you worry about it. But until you have like 6 days worth of work stacked up like in random spots, then you don't got to think about it anymore. If it when it happens, then you take care of it. At least for that one
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, and a little more so just as I'm like kind of get into the cap. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm definitely not there yet, but then I've been thinking a little bit more about um, what I would want to look like to bring on a helper,
Yeah. Have you done
or
any?
like how I would need to be if I wanted a helper more so.
Have you had a helper with you, like friend or family or other guy worker, or not yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, and this is just for spring, not any helpers for this, or would you mean like also for this season too, going in the fall?
No, 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 not for this season. I'm just like down the pipe.
I think, and then treating it like you're doing this in the aspect of potentially hiring them as like a regular full-time employee, like keeping them busy, or would it just be like occasional, or like, are you thinking about that too? Like, how would you like frame it?
No, if I wouldn't want to bring someone on partially, because I mean, I think any kind of I'm focused on recurring work. So if I either have enough recurring work for a helper or I don't.
Okay, so just
Um,
doing it all by the books just from day one, like and looking for a long-term like fit for you that you can pay good and he'll take care of you, and then you just start with one and go from there.
yeah. Um, I don't know, it's weird, but it comes with a lot of headache because one of the easiest, best things about being a solo operator is like delays. Like I'm just working around my own schedule. Like I'm working around my own availability. And
Yeah.
when I have like a rain day and I have to do double the amount of mows in one day, like that's not a problem. And then, yeah, I mean, if you have enough work for two people and then that person disappears, then you got to do the work of two people with one person.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I'm thinking a little more, or just kind of uh, playing with the idea of growing beyond. Like it's not, I'm not trying to pull the trigger on that now, but I'm just kind of thinking of what it would look like.
Yeah. No, that's great that you're thinking about that. I think you're thinking about it right. Like have a worker start there, see like the headache of it. And it just depends. Like if it's a long-term goal, then to have a worker, if that's what you truly want to have like in a year or next year, or a couple of years, then there's no other option than to devise a plan to make it happen. But at the same time too, you don't need the worker. You can stay solo and you can keep it a lot simple. And I think, but you have to go on both sides of the playing field. You got to go have a worker for a season or a year, and then just see how it is. You might love it, you might not, and go back to solo. And then I'm trying to find this quote. I don't know if I can find it, but basically, This guy on YouTube, his name is Alex Hormozy. He does crazy good videos. I think you should hands on you should watch him. He's probably equal to Minority Mindset and the value that he brings. But
Oh
he
yeah,
says like you like the first business that we as a business owner will open will usually not be our main one that's going to take us like out into like the moon or like the actual true. But he's like the average business owner will have 9 different businesses, and like
damn.
you don't have to have a lot, but just thinking about like the first business you start, like it can be like your long term, but guaranteed like almost like not guaranteed, but you have the option. You have a fat amount of capital. You have all these other skills that you're better with, like whether it's in lawn care vertically or it's horizontally, and you have like a different business in a different industry or something. Um, like it's just another thing to think about. I don't know. I guess I equate it to like the online business and stuff. And like I never predicted this. It kind of just happened. Like I never started a lawn care business because I wanted to have an online lawn care business to teach other people. Like, I just wanted a lawn care business so I can get out of my job. And then by doing that, like not only have I had like all the like different ideas, but that doesn't matter, but like the ability like to throw money down and invest to do it, or just to stick with something because like the principles of business will always be the same from any service you provide. We're just using lawn care and lawn care tools as like the first way, but then we just start evolving. And if you're addicted to it, like you're starting to like think about it all the time, like the probably like everything that you're doing, like saving money, just getting better, you're just gonna start having these crazy compounding thoughts. Then before you know it, you have multiple businesses either vertically or horizontally. But of course, like that's like
Mm,
still in the future. But that's just like I don't know. Like you made me think about that talking about workers in the future and stuff. Just like another way to look about it, like just full scope.
yeah, things kind of like blossom out. But and that's, for me to go on to the next business venture, ideally that I would have to outsource the work of my first business.
Mhm.
I mean, if I wanted the same amount of revenue coming from that, I
Yeah,
mean, I could just, after I get to a point, reduce the days.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You're doing
Uh,
both.
you could do that, or what if you became that guy who builds up solo lawn care business and sells it to a kid who hates his job and wants to have a business? You give him the customers and you train them, and then you just start selling businesses. You just make them from scratch. You sell like 2, 3 businesses. Like I never did that, so I can't. I don't want to talk about it, but I mean, like if you're doing everything by the books, I don't see why you couldn't. As long as you're doing everything by the books and you got your numbers straight, like why not? I mean, if you could, if you want to keep making money on money and you like you just build it up, make the money, then you sell the business for an evaluation, or you just have another business, or you scale up and you delegate the workers, like you said. You just you can do all these different things like actually logically because you built it up solo and you made like the mouth to feed whenever you get a worker. Like maybe they're not going to do like a super perfect job, but you're there. But then the first time you hire 2 workers, like they're on their own, they start messing up. Say 80% of your customers aren't happy because I mean, 80% are happy, 20% aren't because they like Erik and they like the job that you do and the care that you do. Then you hire 2 workers to do it. They're not matching, so you're going to lose customers. But you built the cushion, you built the revenue to where you're expecting that training to happen and those boo-boos to happen. And then you just realize you can't make everybody happy. But then you don't got to be perfect. You just got to be good enough. So there's that route you can go with the workers, which I never did it, but looking back, like it makes sense to do that, and it's totally worth a shot if you have all the money coming in, you saved up, and you've been solo for a while. Just like your brain went like this to quit the job, your brain will go like this to being solo if you go in that direction. Or you start a YouTube channel and make those damn mowing videos and $5,000 from 1 million views back to back to back to back. Or there's just I don't know. You could there's
There's
so
so many possibilities,
like
man.
by Toro and Xmark, you make money off of referring $8,000 mowers. They use your code if they show it at the dealer at your in your area. Just it all comes from just having the solo off, and you're more than halfway there because you got more than half than you can handle. You got like 40 something, and you want to have like maybe however much, like not
Uh,
80, but like 60-ish somewhere, maybe possibly.
Yeah, I think 60 is like what I have in my head right now.
You're more
But
than
then
half.
also like the customer count is one thing, but then how many of those are weekly? Because then that's doubling the amount of mows.
Yeah,
So what right now I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I got 11 weekly mows. Oh, that's not bad. So I'm at 50. I'm like low 50s, I guess. Well, with 2 today, 53, 11 are weekly.
damn.
Uh,
What does 53 customers gross revenue look like roughly
but
for
well, I
11?
don't know, cause like a handful of like 6 of those are on schedule for the first service
Yeah,
in the next week. But just my revenue from last month has more than doubled, and there's still a week left in August.
dang.
So I think, well, I think I grossed like 3K last month, and I'm in the 5Ks now.
Hey, this
One
is
more week.
this is you haven't even been full time for over a month yet, and it's already almost doubled.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
funny, I really thought I was like uh too late
mhm.
to make the jump to full time.
Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, like more calls have been coming in than I want to deal with some days.
you just become like a, I don't want to say a robot, but you just become like a business robot, and you just like start handling everything, just like you just do the most that you've ever thought was capable, and it just works itself out. Because versus you thinking about what should I do, you're physically having to manage like 50 plus customers, so you don't have that much time to like really overthink and scrutinize yourself. You're just doing it as best you can and just getting better with it, which is like a crazy,
Yeah.
it's a crazy flow to be in, especially at the beginning. But I went through it, and now you're going through it, which is awesome.
Having an ever-growing amount of self-discipline is crucial in life in general, but particularly in running a business.
Yeah.
And then being as organized as possible. Like, it's always something I'm trying to get better at, but I've seen some good growth in those two aspects. Last few months and particularly last few weeks as I've been full time.
Mm.
It's exciting, scary and exciting.
That's the only way it will ever be. If it's not scary, then it's not. I mean, I guess nah, you can't. It won't be scary forever. Whenever we're really wealthy and you can live off like all the capital that you've made and stuff. But I mean, even at that, we're always going to be working to some capacity, whether it's lawn care or another project. So I think it's
Oh
going
yeah.
to be scary because it's never going to be enough. I mean, like there's never a part where you just make X amount of dollars and you're chilling. You always like you want to do better than your last previous year or your previous. So I feel like I don't know. Maybe it will not always be scary, but I feel like how it is now, it's probably going to be how it is for a while. But we just become better at managing it, and then you're making like scalable like amounts more. But it's always just like you're battling against yourself, so it's high competition.
Mm, that's yeah, your number one competition is always yourself.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you got 100K and you're checking you're in a stock, you're just chilling. You got like 5 to 10 to live off of in an emergency fund. That's a whole different way. You're just living and moving and thinking, and that's the goal.
Unless your expenses are
Fair
half a
enough.
mil.
I was watching this interview. I forgot who did it, but it was talking about like the perception of money and just the psychology of it. Like, imagine if there was a guy that was making 50,000 a year, or now say if he's making like 100,000 a year, and then the company that he worked for gave him a bonus of like $2 million for that year. So he made 100,000, and like he did a lot of sales, and then the company gave him a $2 million bonus. What's the only way you can make that guy feel bad? It'd be if you gave his coworker that sits in the office next to him or the cubicle next to him, he makes 100,000, you give him 2.5 million, and then make it public. Like that's no matter how much money you have, you're just gonna be like, why the fuck did he get that money and I didn't? I don't know why I brought that up, but it's just like
Damn,
made me
that's
think about
that's
like
true.
it's powerful. Like little things like if you're not careful, if you're just lost in the sauce, like that would ruin all your money.
Oh man. Yeah, we all are very prone to making ourselves miserable playing the comparison game.
Yeah. Mo- mo-
The
Mowing and ramen while we're youngins.
there's a quote, I think it was Louis C.K., which isn't like a great source, but in his show, he was like telling his little daughter, like his daughters were eating ice cream or something, and
Mm.
one of them was like, "Oh, she has more than me," and I was like crying. And he said, "The only time you should look in your look to see how much your neighbor has is to make sure that they have enough."
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm probably butchering that a little bit, like I do with all quotes, but
Like, that's a good
I
one.
get close enough to get the message, general message.
Yeah, I like that quote.
Uh,
That's applicable.
uh, yo, I haven't started hanging them. Oh, damn, it's backwards. But
Uh,
I'm playing with putting my pricing
damn.
on a sign.
Yeah. So you haven't made them live yet. You just in like the schematic part.
Yeah, well, this is just a yard sign. I haven't put any out yet. We were getting like a lot of bad rain the last week since I got them, and I
That's
felt like
that's
they
insane.
would get beat up, but probably not. They'll probably be fine.
If you just land one customer, then the overhead's cleared for like a lifetime value. because somebody will take it eventually, whether it's a city or competition. I feel like if it's in a good area where it's obviously good, then somebody's just gonna go like go pull it out when it's like a stoplight or something.
Yeah.
But it's still worth it. I remember I would ask people like, how'd you find me? And they're like, we found you on that lawn sign that you left out there by 1604, the little highway where I live. I didn't do it forever, but when I did do it, it totally worked. And I didn't print mine out for the graphic. It was like I used a Sharpie on a white. It looked terrible. It still worked.
Yeah. I don't
Props.
know.
Cool.
We'll see. I still need to put them out.
Whoa.
That's like what like we were talking about at the beginning, or I don't know if it was before we were recording. It's like the thing on your to-do list
Oh
that
yeah,
just keeps like it rolling off into the next day.
that was one of them for you.
Yeah.
It's so simple, right? But it's just like getting started is the hardest part. You got Ghost.
No, the dogs are getting buck with the cats.
So Gia.
Cat. Yeah. The never-ending war.
Hmm.
Uh, How, so you were saying you're toying with a lot of your marketing methods for the
Yeah.
course. Have you seen, as you like play with different ways, have you seen like different returns on investment on time? Or is it just as you better the overall
I haven't done anything
marketing?
for organic YouTube. I've never gotten Google or Facebook sales before. So that's what I was trying to put my like, I'm gonna try to figure that out because I figure like I can't scale mentoring forever and stuff, but just the course itself, like I could get that to a lot of people and it could help a lot of people and just give them like the blueprint and just if they pay for it, if they want to, then they could just have like the whole game plan written out for them. So that one I'm trying to figure out. I haven't figured it out yet, but that's like my biggest like to-do list thing is to figure it out. And I know that I could, and it's just like the next progression level up. Will I still do like one-on-one calls like this and stuff? People can still get like for a fraction of the price just the course itself, which would be cool. And by
Mm,
doing it like by me um, having more capital, then it feels like just like having the 6 month, it just makes the videos and like the things that I do just so much like stress free, weight free, and then I can just like not only just like the physical, but just like the message and like the, I guess like the energy in the videos. It would just like be inspiring to others to do the same thing. And like it doesn't have to be crazy forever, but you're gonna go crazy in your own way, trying to figure it all out, trying to be your own boss and manage the money and stuff, and just staying afloat, not giving like not going bankrupt and not having enough customers. Like just the whole balance, because it's like it's not always what you do; it's also how you do it. That's also important too.
mm. So what are your business goals this year? To not go bankrupt.
To make $1 million, the first goal is to not lose $1 million.
Mhm. I mean, I definitely just like when I'm on like Facebook and Instagram, I mean, I've been seeing your ads. So
Yeah.
I see that the web has been expanding.
Okay, that's cool. That's crazy. I would see my own ads when I'd be posting my lawn care in my area, or my friends would send it to me, and I'm like, dang, that's weird, but it's working.
Like, oh, good, people are seeing it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what else do you think about full time wise going forward?
It's, I mean, the biggest thing I think is just gonna be not taking on too much.
That's a good problem. That's a good, a healthy objective, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, just for mental health, and then also if I'm like, at a point where I'm stressed out every day, I'm
Mhm.
not gonna be delivering a good service. And
Exactly.
then that's gonna like have a negative snowball in the business and for like all of my customers
Mhm.
and ultimately negatively impact me. So trying to remember like more work and more money is not gonna
Mhm.
make everything better,
Yeah.
even though it sounds like it will.
It will help all your, another cheesy quote that I like money will solve all of your money problems. So that's that one. That's one thing. But there's other things too. But all your money problems like rent, food, savings, investing, that'll solve all that. But the other deeper stuff, you still gotta fix it if it's broken. Money will solve the money problem.
Uh, Never ending project.
Yeah.
Um,
I can say truly that from this business to lawn care, if anything, it's just grown with the projects. It continues that. The more that you have to gain, the more that it will be on your shoulders for you to balance it. But the things I've never done before that I'm doing now, it's given the craziest returns I've never had before. So it's cool that it's linear in that way. At least I feel like it should be.
Yeah.
It should be, not always though.
Yeah. I mean, working for myself, like having um, just like I said earlier, being put the hard work I put in is
Mhm.
like benefiting me,
Mhm.
makes it easier to work hard, but also having just like the control of my days,
Yeah,
like one weekend, I like took my dogs to the beach. It
yeah,
was like Sunday or Saturday morning. I like
mm,
went to the beach for a few hours, then I went to a park and went hiking for a few hours,
yeah,
came home, cleaned up, and then after like it was like 1, 2, 3 p.m., then I spent like 5, 6 hours just doing like office work and like uh mapping out what my mowing was gonna look like for the next few days.
yeah,
Just being able to like I mean, the mowing you can daylight, but for me right now, daylight is like most of the day.
yeah.
Um, so you can't mow any time of the day, but outside of like the strict mowing, all
Mhm.
the other work I can structure however I want. Having that flexibility in life that is really awesome.
There's no other way to live. As crazy or as like draining or as like endless as the work could be, there's no other way that you could last through it because everything's gonna be like it's like to make a shitload of money in a job, you're gonna have to put so much of yourself to it. And at least with the business, no matter what you do, like you're in the first step of it. That's where like, I started there and I was like, okay, like I finally get it. And then just like not going bankrupt, just staying afloat, it just becomes so natural and you know what you got to do and then you're crunching the numbers, you're twice as accurate, it's even better. But just like we manage the jobs for so long, like that's hard for some people. That doesn't mean that you're guaranteed to last. Like you still got to do your work and do good. So you're just transferring it to your own operation. It's just there's no other way. It's cool.
Yeah, and I did um in the recent weeks, I was thinking to myself just as after being full time for a couple weeks that like even if the business didn't work out like tomorrow,
Mhm.
for whatever, like the things I've learned and how I've grown as a person, I mean, general skill sets, like you said, marketing, sales, all that stuff, I've gotten like firsthand experience with, but like just the value of going through the process of
Mhm.
all this learning and building a business is like so valuable to me. And like
Mhm.
I'm so appreciative of that, even if like I had to start over
Yeah.
tomorrow, like just the experience has been
Mhm.
really positive for me in a lot of ways.
If I didn't feel that same way that you just described, like you could do it all over again, I wouldn't have left America and came here and started doing this crazy little setup. I was confident, just like you said, that if I had to go back, like I'd done it enough, I could do it again. So by long kid giving me that liberty, or by myself giving like I guess first doing the work yourself, like getting that skill set unlocked. Now that allowed me to come here, and if it wasn't for that, then it wouldn't. The first evolution wouldn't happen to the second. So it's happening for you too. You're anything like that, and you're just 3 weeks in it. Like imagine how smart you are this time next year. Like after all the money you've made, all the different customer experiences you had, the good, bad, and the ugly moments, everything. You're just gonna be like unrecognizable in this video 1 year from today. Mark my words. We'll post
Yeah. I feel like that's gonna be true. Like I said, even just in the last or so, I've
three.
been in business like 10 months now, but
Mhm.
like from the first 3 months to like the last 3 weeks is
Mhm.
so different. And then once I have like it won't even be a full season full time
Yeah.
under my belt, but at least like part of a season full time. Um, I mean, it's just I know I'm only gonna get like better and
Mhm.
more proficient
Yeah.
and make more money.
As long as you don't break any bones or get injured, you just keep growing and getting better and making money and getting better customers and just, or unless you don't disappear, break a bone, or drown or something. That was a weird example. You just keep growing and just
Yeah.
keep going forward. Yeah. I always, when I skateboard, I think about like if I get hurt, I can't mow anymore. So it's like, I don't think I'll fall down. But just like those little thoughts, like that's like the pro and con of everything. Like versus you're working from the computer, like you're working with your hands and your feet. So you got to be fully healthy. But the trade off to do whatever you want except for a small amount of things that could put you in jeopardy. That's just the life. No matter what you have, there's always a give and take in some capacity. And that's okay. That's normal.
Yeah. No job is perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, being an entrepreneur, run your own business has a lot of pros. I mean, but it comes with a lot of cons, and it's definitely not for everybody because, to like me and you, those cons we like take on the chin because the pros outweigh it for us. But for sure, there's people that like aren't built for it.
Oh yeah, most of that's just anything. Like we're only keep like I don't know. There's like it all ties also into just like like happiness coming from like wanting a bunch of things and having almost all the things met. Or if you want a bunch of things but you don't have it, then you'll never be happy, no matter how big or small it is. But if you could want less and you could have all the things that you want, then whatever capacity you grow into, like money wise, business wise, like if you could just have no desires for anything that you don't already have, then that should be the like a close definition of peace or happiness, to have everything that you want.
Ooh, here's a good one for you. It's a I don't remember which Stoic, maybe Marcus Aurelius, just a guess, but learn to want the things you already have
Uh,
instead of instead of being upset about the things you don't have. Be
mhm.
grateful for the things you do have.
Mm.
That will that's a perspective fixer right there.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Mm. I
Not
always feel so like cheesy laying down quotes, but like most of the time when I do, someone like it usually gets like positive reception and like someone's like, oh wow, yeah, like that. There's definitely that rings true to me, or that resonates me in some way or another.
yeah.
But I mean, that's just what happens when you like take in so much like content and knowledge, is
Mhm.
like it just gets regurgitated.
You become your biggest fear, your worst enemy. Sometimes you don't want to be the bad guy, but you outlive being the good guy.
You say you don't want to be the bad guy?
Sometimes you don't want to be the bad guy, but you outlive being the good guy.
Mm,
Ooh,
yeah.
yeah. Okay, no more quotes.
That's so that's what my whiteboard. So I got like that's like all my fucking scheduling. I know it's like backwards, you can't see.
That's okay. I just forward. It says LA,
Oh,
LA. Some of them are.
oh yeah, LA is for Largo, the different cities. But then over here, I have just a bunch of fucking quotes
Yeah.
and
Whiteboards are
just
crucial.
ones mostly business oriented. But it's nice to have those and reference them sometimes. It's
Yeah.
inspirational.
Oh yeah, that looks exactly like my setup. I had a sticker whiteboard, which is a terrible idea. Just ripped the walls apart. It was on my closet, but the closet that slide was a sticker. Stupid. It stained it and left residue. But it would just have like a day of the week, and then just all the yards, and then just again and again. And I would just it'd be messy. I keep crossing it and updating it, crossing it and updating it, and
Yeah.
it worked
This
so
is like
well.
yeah, this is like version 5.2. It's a lot more organized than it used to be, but having this whiteboard has been huge for me just in like organizing my business and organizing my life. And sometimes
I gotta have
just
the
yeah, man, like
yeah.
a few of my buddies that were like high functioning intellectuals, I'll say,
Mm,
um, definitely took advantage of that. I was late to it, but I've gotten a lot of benefit from it. Yeah, really organized myself. And sometimes there's just something about, and I think there's neuroscience to support this, but like physically writing something, uh, like makes it more stuck in your memory.
Oh, yeah. That's why people write down. That's why people are so pro journaling, because by translating on the paper, like what's the word for that? Tangibly, and by releasing it out of your mind versus like the fishbowl of your mind is just having a million thoughts a moment, never ends. By writing stuff down and actually like focusing on it and putting it in plain sight to where you get to remember it, it doesn't just go in one ear out the next. That's why people love journaling. So I'd imagine writing down everything just helps you schedule better, move better, your memory is better, you're practicing them. Everything is just it's really important.
Yeah, highly recommend for everybody to have a whiteboard or at least something. Because I mean, if you just use like, I mean, I use notes on my phone, of course, and like I have my different lists for different days that I check off as I'm mowing and record times and stuff. But I mean, you said I don't know if it was in the course or just one of your videos when you were talking, showing your calendar. I think it was in the course. But you were talking about like having the physical calendar and not just everything on an app in your phone.
Mhm.
Because if it's like, look there, you see it every day, like
Yeah,
physically, it is different than having to pull it up out of a file on your phone or your computer.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I was in the course and the income video. It's so crucial and it's fun. It makes everything a lot easier. Highly recommend. Big ass whiteboard. Business write off too.
Yeah, that's, oh boy, I'm excited on Tuesday. I got a meeting with my CPA. I'm really excited for.
It's nice to just knock all the questions out the park and just be able to focus on what you got to do.
Yeah, because they're definitely with the write-offs, some things I'm not 100% sure on. So like with my truck, I had a pickup truck for my personal vehicle, and
Yeah,
obviously I use it for the business now too.
yeah.
So I would imagine that I would be able to write off part of the payment.
Mhm.
Because I know with like a phone bill, when
Mhm.
I was researching it, you can write off if you have like two lines on a plan, you can write off like half of the plan, the work line. You can't do the whole phone bill,
Mhm.
but just as much as it is for business
Yeah,
is like write offable. So that's one of the things like I feel like half my truck payment I could be doing write offs on. That would be really cool.
there you go. That possibly plus the miles. I don't want to give legal advice because I'm not exactly sure, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what
having a
this is all
CPA.
speculation. That's why I'm going to CPA to get
Mhm.
confirmation.
That's perfect. The fact that you're having these thoughts is like just a part of the progression. When I was asking them, like, oh, I don't know if I want to hear the answer, but I want to know from all the things I did wrong. Where then they go back and they clean it up whenever they do the taxes for you if you choose to. You just pay them and then they save you more your weight in gold than what you paid them to do your taxes, and everything just looks a lot cleaner. And you have a nicer number depending on where you want it to be at.
Yeah, I mean, I do my own bookkeeping, but I'm sure that, I mean, I'm still learning, so I'm sure there's like lots of room for improvement and
Oh yeah,
things
just
that I'm not thinking of.
we become better with the business, with the quoting, with the mowing, and then at managing our books and documenting our expenses and just having the best write-off ratios. You just get better at everything. And just yeah, the only way to know it is like you can hire people to do it, but at the same time, it's like you couldn't hire somebody to do your sales unless you did it yourself to know if they're doing it good or bad, so you can call them out, or so you can understand if not, and they're really good, then you're relying on them, or if they're bad, you waste money. So it's worth doing in the beginning, and then you can still manage it forever. But you can hire somebody to do it, but at least you understand what they're doing, and it just for
Yeah,
all aspects, not just taxes, like every operation. You want to learn it yourself. We have the
good,
time for it, and then eventually you could delegate and put piece it all out if you choose to go that way.
good to outsource, but also good to have some capacity, do it yourself.
Mm-hmm. But most definitely, I think as the business grows, the bookkeeping, payroll, all that stuff, that's the easiest to delegate out. But the sales, the marketing, and the delivery will always be the main focus, and that's going to be the lifeblood of the business. So that'd be the last things that you start about with sales, marketing, or delivery. But you start with the other things first, and then I'll just you build a pyramid towards it.
So, did
Hmm.
you just went to Colombia to
Mhm.
for like the in between until you were able to come back to Costa Rica?
Yeah, we just went there for a Monday to a Thursday because you can only stay here 90 days at a time. So we just popped back in and popped out, and it was fun. Colombia is cool. It's really cheap, but I felt like I could get robbed at any time, like for petty theft. Just like I wasn't wearing the right outfit. You got to wear blue jeans and like a Nike t-shirt. I was wearing like this Japanese sushi thing I bought in LA, and I was wearing shorts, so I just felt like I looked tourista, and my girl looks like she's Chinese with glasses. So I just felt like we just looked like we're tourists, and then we were
Like,
at one of the
those
stops.
are good people to rob.
Yeah, exactly. Like I felt like when I was walking, like especially as it got towards nighttime, like at 6 o'clock, that it got dark early there, being like the downtown metro area, all the little stores. I don't know if it was me paranoid, but I was dead sober. I was just I feel like people were looking at us, and like from what I've read, like you're not gonna get kidnapped or murdered, but walk up and rob you and mug you, just like give me your shit. Like if they have a knife or a gun, like that's really common. Even broad daylight is common. So I was like, ah, okay. And then even this lady, my girl was holding her phone. We were buying fabrics. This girl was like, you need to not hold your phone. I had to translate it to understand what she was saying. But she was like, don't hold your phone in your hand. Put it away in your bag or your pocket. I bought blue jeans because I was wearing basketball shorts, and I put my phone in my wallet in my front pocket inside the shorts, inside the jeans. I was like a hood kid wearing shorts inside of
Mm,
my pants, and that's how I walked around. So that's just
That's
like
smart though, so you can't get pickpocketed.
exactly. But other than that, it was so damn cheap. It was so beautiful, and I like the city vibe. It feels makes me busier. Versus here, it's cool, but it's farm life, so I feel kind of slow pace. I like the hustle and bustle of the city, at least for temporarily, not to live
I
forever.
was gonna say that you went to Costa Rica for a reason.
Yeah, it's cool for just like a
Uh,
work boost, but living wise, of course, the goal is to have like peace
mm,
of property and land and
yeah,
nature.
that's like how I feel about the Midwest and snow. It's like I don't miss the snow. Like I'll go visit
Mm,
the snow, spend a few days there, but that's not where I want to be all the time.
yeah, it's cool to go vacation there.
Mm, I have no idea where I want to end up.
Okay, don't worry. You'll know when you know. You'll have the money and you just be like I can do whatever I want. So I think I want to go here. You're getting there. We're there.
Yeah, yeah. Just a few more years of building this business and pumping into investments, and hopefully I can just live off of like dividend income as
The-
like a baseline, and then like I don't know, figure out some other stuff,
If you put
start another business.
that math that we couldn't do before, if you put a million and expect 4% after you pull everything out in taxes, like 40,000 from a million, 4%. So if you could just stockpile $1 million from lawn care and whatever else you do, then there's 40K a year to live off of if the market doesn't crash and go crazy. But that's like the standard for 4%, right? So just get $1 million somehow and break it up a couple $100,000 years, maybe 200,000, maybe a crypto gamble. I don't know, but it's doable. We're doing it,
Yeah,
and it will only compound like you said, going from 0 to 10 customers is a lot harder than going from 40 to 50.
yeah. Just gotta. That's the lawn care is like that first financial pillar,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to. I want to have enough income. I mean, from like businesses and passive investments, and then ideally have like a good real estate portfolio down the road. Um, that's all. That's a big mountain to tackle. I mean, all of it is over time, over the years, and
Mhm.
then just be able to like where I can just bounce around
Hmm.
as needed or at will. I
If
don't
you
know.
want
It's
it,
gonna take time, but it's possible.
there's always a way somehow. It's not like that we can't do it. It's just are we going to put the time towards learning it and spending the time to sacrifice and stuff. But I think I don't see why. If just like you may being your own boss, your goal and stuff, like you're okay, you did what you said. In fact, you went full time like 4, 5, 6 months sooner. Then you're saying in a couple of years, hopefully you can be like at the move around at any point. What if it's just next year after the next school year? You've surpassed your result, like your expectations, by just doing good work and showing up. So imagine how fast it will compound going into spring. When you've already had a season of customers locked in, plus your new callers, plus you're going to have all spring, summer, and fall full time. You're going to make the most. You're probably going to work the hardest, make the most, and then from there you just have like a whole. You got I don't know 40, 50K in your savings, or you have it all invested in a stock, or and then you have so many customers, and you're just like a savage with it. Hello, I do Zoom call.
Hi. Aw.
Okay, dang. There, no. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you're gonna.
it,
It's gonna. All that matters is that you've scooted up exponentially to the next spot. So as long as you just keep doing whatever it is you've been doing in whatever way, then everything's looking so far so good.
yeah, that's when I would think about, I had, the business outline initially, and then I was planning on going full time next year. And as things accelerated, I mean, I need to spend like a good bit of time and really think about it again and reanalyze. But it's like kind of hard for me to think in like 5 year windows now to where things can change so fast and like accelerate so much faster than I had thought.
Mhm.
But I
Yeah.
mean, I guess, and then I feel like from year to year can be so different.
Mhm. For the better or the worse, it could all change. So as long as you're just able to stand on your feet and you just keep your head right, then it's not about so much like what happens. Like as long as you're capable of like any angle, if you like lose long care, like you said, or if you still have it, or if it does good, can you manage it? Like on all spectrums.
Yeah.
It's like the way you do one thing is the way you do everything in a sense. So as long as you're keeping up to date with everything else, then all the things that haven't happened yet but will, then you'll find a way. Just whether it takes a long time, short time, hard, easy, you'll find a way to break it down. artistically and do it. Ah,
Do you
hmm,
do you have like a 5-year scope for
no idea.
like the online business?
I have no idea. I mean, all that I want to do is I just want to scale it up to where I can make get back to where I was before I lost the money on crypto. That I just like little piece by piece, like that's attainable. And then I think about like 10x rule, Grant Cardone, cheesy stuff. Like if I want to make like 10,000 a month, then I should be figuring out how do I make 100,000 per month, like and work towards that. Just like the whole different framework of how I'm doing everything. So I don't know. 5 years, I have no idea. But just this year, like the first thing I want to get my money back. I want to sit nicely like I was sitting, and then from there, like okay, I got leverage and clarity to sit down and create something, whether it's a plan or actually the action of it
And more experience.
and more experience. But it's cool. I'm happy. Everything happened for a reason. Shout out.
All on Dogecoin.
Dude, it's crazy. Yeah. What do you feel business wise going into say summer of next year? Where do you see yourself? Not 5 years. Okay, how about no? How about just 5 years?
Yeah,
How about you? Do you have a 5 year plan or is it still I don't know? Or do you kind of know?
shit. Well, I need a new that needs to be revised for sure. That far out. I need to spend some more time like thinking about it, but
Hmm.
yeah, I think in like it really depends on next year. I feel like I'll have a much better idea of the next 5 years after the next year, if
Hmm.
that makes sense, after a full season, full time.
Hmm.
Um, I think after that, then I'll be able to decide if I want to just squeeze out a little more profitability off of that and the operation, if I was happy with like the work to revenue output, or bring on a worker, or perhaps build out, maybe not all at once, but like over time, bring on one worker and then try to get 2 people and
Hmm.
then get them, trained up and capable of to where I could start stepping away from the operations as much.
Hmm.
I'll probably like on paper that sounds like
Hmm.
reasonable and doable, but I also feel like I'm gonna have a really hard time letting go of like the critical control points of the business,
Hmm.
especially after I spend more time building it. Like I think it's gonna be really hard for me to find somebody that I trust to do
Hmm.
most of the operation. I mean, even just doing the mows, and event it's just inevitable. You know, I'll have someone, they'll do a bad job, I'll get a call back. Like so far, I haven't had any callbacks, but even if I stay solo, the day will eventually come. Um, so I just need to get over that. But I
Hmm.
think, yeah, as the years progress, I want to either, I'll probably look to bring on some workers and get it to where I could have a crew running the routes without me being there. And then maybe I'm still just like um, managing it and I'm still doing the quoting.
Hmm.
Cause man, having like an estimator, I feel like it would be hard to outsource that too.
Hmm.
Um,
Take it
I don't know.
one bite at a time, just one worker whenever you call it. But
Yeah,
if that's the plan, then at least you know either I have it or I don't. So I keep working towards it or I'm doing it. Like I never like I wanted it sometimes, but it was never like the on paper plan to like have the workers. Like I tried it, of course, but it wasn't for me at the time at least. But just now that you're thinking about this so early on, which I never did, then either direction you just have time to put towards it to make it work, whether it is solo or having the crew. And that's all that matters. You'll find a way. Just like you built it solo, then you're just gonna have a way different order of operations, just like versus finding yards and selling them and working on like now you're trying to learn how to manage humans, which is doable. You did this far, so why can't you do that? But just knowing what you want or knowing your options
yeah,
is all that matters. It's still early, but at least thinking about this is good.
yeah. I mean, I like down the road, 3+ years, at least being less involved in the business, so that way I can start taking my time into like the next business venture,
Mhm.
or whatever the fuck I feel like doing
Mhm.
with my time at that point. Um, But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing with the scaling up and having workers is just finding the right person. And ideally, it would be someone that I groom, and then either they have a portion of the business,
Hmm.
or so like either I just have it operating without me and I have an owner's draw, or if I like hand it off.
Hmm.
I don't know, but either way, I think once I get, if if and when I get to the point where I have employees, I
Hmm.
definitely want them to have like stake in the company.
Hmm.
Um,
Just sense.
so they have a reason to care,
Yeah.
like as much as the owner, which I mean, some of this I just have understood from seeing other small businesses, and then a lot of it, Mike Andes on YouTube,
Hmm.
most of his YouTube content is like
Cruise. But
catered to, yeah, scaling up the business. They're moving from operations. So been taking in some of that content, but yeah, that's like down the road.
yeah.
That, and then again, everything can change month to month, nonetheless, year to year.
Hmm.
But I feel like I'll go that route, or go some degree in that direction
Hmm.
of like just not being in the field as much.
Yeah. Fair enough. I like it. Take it when it
Mm,
comes, but you're thinking about it now, so that's crossed out.
yeah, because I mean, I really enjoy lawn care, but I know that there's other ventures,
Hmm.
other things I have in mind that I want to do.
Yeah.
Um, I
Long care,
think
long care will give you the capital to do all these things. Yeah, it's work. It's doing
that's,
its magic right now. That's what it's all about.
yeah, it's so crazy to think about 5 years from now.
Mhm. It's exciting. I think I like it. I don't mind getting older. If I keep leveling up each year like I've been doing, I'm happy. And I feel mentally, I feel a lot more. I've never felt worse a year older. I always feel better. I feel like more understanding, more conscious, and more smarter with money, saving and spending and making.
Well, that's because you've been spending your time being a hustler and increasing your capacity as like not only a business person, but as a human. Um, to sum that all up, just having like a growth mindset in life, which not enough people have.
Yeah.
But again, so some people will just be like the 9 to 5er,
Hmm.
401k for the rest of their lives.
Hmm.
Um, and they won't realize they fucked up until they're 65 and broke. But
Hmm.
and the government assistance that they thought they would have doesn't come. But
Yeah. Savage.
yeah, I'm trying to not be that. The opposite of that is what I want to be. I want
We're
to be like hustling at
mhm.
my pace at 65.
In a 65-year-old fashion.
Exactly.
We're almost halfway there. We're doing it.
Yeah, honestly, so yeah, I recently turned 30, or last month I turned 30.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, I feel like throughout like my 20s, particularly like my mid to late 20s,
Hmm.
like the level ups have been just consistent and exponential. So I'm pretty stoked at how I can continue that level of growth in all aspects of life.
Yeah. You don't have a midlife crisis. Don't go crazy. Just keep doing everything you've been doing, and it's there.
Shit, if we do things right, there will be no need for midlife crisis because things are going to be Gucci.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to look at it.
That's what midlife crisis, when you like get to that point and you realize,
I feel
wow, I still haven't done shit.
I done goofed up.
But shit, I mean, if anyone happens to be listening to this, however long conversation, but even at like a midlife 40, 50, 60, like you could still flip the script, you could still start a business, you could still pursue things. It's all about investing the time and energy into bettering yourself and your situation.
Hmm.
And with that, I'll end it with another quote. Success is dictated by how much you are willing to sacrifice.
Straight up, it is. The more you sacrifice, the more I've ever had. The more nights I've stayed up late, 2 in the morning, tired, but I got shit I gotta do. It's always worth it.
If you want to accelerate growth, you gotta sacrifice more. You gotta sacrifice time with friends. You gotta sacrifice time with family. I mean, that's the only way.
Your dog's listening to you?
Oh, big stretch.
Hell yeah. Is there any final things you want to go over about business or just going forward wise?
Hmm.
And then we'll do another call 1 month. That'll be 7 weeks. Let's just say 8, and then exponential growth once again. On, on
Hopefully, shit. I'm gonna, I'm setting the bar high for myself, but that's how everyone should be doing it.
What's the target for next month for all of September, would you say?
Hmm. So I would say,
Like how much you think you and how much like realistically you think you will at the pace you're at right now? Like the target and where you think you'll actually end up for reals.
target $1 million. Yeah. Well, I would say
Billion.
half a mil. Be reasonable.
Mhm.
I mean, I'll just be moderate. I'll shoot for 4, 5, 6K gross.
There you go. Overhead getting lower.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what my CPA says.
Okay, fair
What
enough.
else ends up under that expense category?
There you go.
Uh, um, yeah, I mean, and I'm still just gonna actively be putting most of my profits like back into the business.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, is even though uh my mowers, like I'm now accruing interest on my mowers, but my big goal for the year is just to eliminate all business debt. And like, well, really all that is my mowers now. Got about $5,200 to go.
That's not that bad. What was it at the peak?
The Gravely, I think was like 7,500. And then I spent 2,500 on the Toro.
So it's in half. So you're doing something halfway there now, just the home stretch.
Yeah, and then after that would be paying off my truck.
How much you on the chart?
10,000.
Oh, okay. No, man, next
You're the,
next year you can wipe that easily by summer. I think you'll wipe that by summer,
next,
or summer or sooner. You'll wipe all of that. The 70, the 5 and the 10, 15. That's easy work. You got it. If you're full time,
next is,
your whole like daily focus is going to be on knocking down that debt. That's like your whole waking up. Like I'm running a business first thing, pay off the high interest debt, like you said. That's literally your priority. So you're going to knock it down before anything else. So I think by summer, I think even by spring, you could wipe it.
yeah, by spring, for sure, the mowers will be done. I'll
Mhm.
start working on the truck, but then at that point, I'm gonna have to up the intensity on the investing percentage.
There you go. Debt
So,
percent investing, so it's a win-win.
yeah, it's hard. Because still part of me is like, man, put it all in that crypto. Or that kind of mentality. It's like I want to invest like crazy, but trying to be as strategic as possible of where to make the money moves at different times.
Hmm. Like right now, I pulled it all out, and it's weird, and I never thought I'd be at this position with it. But I just told myself like I'm gonna invest. I'm gonna invest in everything in the cryptos and the Bitcoin and the crazy one and stuff. And no matter if it's not gonna go crazy in like the next like 6 months of me focusing on my business in the next like 6 months to a year, trying to grow my income, like my actual like I can rely on it, like my what I can expect to make. And then I'll get in the crypto back, or I'll get in the funny stuff whenever I'm at this X amount of dollars back to where I was before I started. So by making it like I can't even look at the charts. I don't have any time to research because I'm not allowing myself. It's difficult, and it was hard to get in that like of a ready position to do it. But it feels so good, and it's like okay, I can't gamble on crypto. I have to fucking work on my business, figure out these skills, and like do the things I've been doing because the index funds isn't going to make me rich. Like I have it because I can't do anything about it, and it's cool even if it goes $1 a day, whatever. It's still fine and it compounds. But no crypto for me at least until I get back to where I was, and then from there I'll have fun. So just that little goal was hard to make, but I feel like it's super valuable.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Well, it's always fun talking about the level ups with you, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. 1 month from today, so 20. We're 1 day shy. I think last one was 20 seconds. So let's see where you're at. You went from 30 customers with the job, like next call, random, full time, 3 weeks, double almost your income, and it's not even been a full month yet. Cool thoughts. Like worries about winter, normal first full time season going for it, but you're gonna figure it out. You're doing this good so far. You have a bunch of skills to add to the arsenal, and that's it's just really lit. It's litty.
Lady Titty for sure.
Hell yeah. All right, cool. Okay, I'll see you in the next one. I'll see you in the group, and I appreciate you, Eric. And this was like
Appreciate you as well, man.
2.5 hours. I think our last one was three, so hopefully the audience enjoys this little shorter one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Peace out, brother. Thank you.
Peace.
All right, latest.